And then lastly, but also very importantly, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our senior citizens who are here with us, who came in their numbers to come and participate in the public hearings. We would also like to acknowledge the presence of the different sectors or forums of the older persons forums who are actually here with us here. Now, before we move to the next item, can you please just give yourself a round of applause?
Singathanda ukuqaphela ke nabantu abadala abakhoyo abayinxalenye yalo mnyhadala wanamhlanje sibaqaphele kwakunye nee-forums nee-sectors ezikhoyo kule ndawo singathi sicela baneziqhwabela izandla.
Ons gee ook erkenning aan onze senior burgers wat in groot getalle opgekom het na hierdie sessie toe. Ons sê vir hulle baie dankie dat hulle tyd geneem het om op te kom en deelname te hê aan hierdie proses. As ook gee ons erkenning en waardering aan die verskillende verteenwoordigers wat uit die verskillende sektore en forums uitkom om deelnemend te wees aan hierdie proses.
Thank you very much. At least now we know who's here, who's not here. But I also just need to indicate that we have received few apologies from some of our members of the portfolio committee. They've got other responsibilities or other commitment elsewhere. I've already indicated the apology from Honorable Mvana, Nonkosi Mvana, the chair of the portfolio committee. And then we've got also an apology from Ms. Letitia Aris. And then we've got an apology as well from Ms. Sitembile Hlongo. And then also from Mayor Jane Manganye, as well as Mayor Kate Bilankul. They are also members of the portfolio committee, but due to other responsibilities and commitment elsewhere, they are unable to be part of us here. But we have been going through as the portfolio committee. But seated here today, you can see it's majority of us who are here, so we are able to proceed with the meeting.
Dan het ons ook verskonings gekry van ander lede van die parlement wat ongelukkig nou nie hier kan wees nie. Ek het al reeds genoem van onze voorsitter Nonkosi Mvana wat die voorsitter is van die portfolio komitee en ongelukkig is sy ook vast met ander verpligtinge waar sy nou is, as ook de achtbare lid Letitia Aris, dan het ons ook is het Sitembile Fana Slongo, as ook is it Ma? I don't know, the last name I didn't get you.
Oh, Kate
Bilanku. So hierdie lede wat ons genoem het, die ander lede wat nie hier is nie, is ook bezig met ander werk, ander verpligtinge. Maar soos jy kan sien, ons is die meerderheid van die portfolio komitee, wat beteken ons kan voortgaan met vandag se verrigtinge.
Phambi koba siqhubeke ke kubalekile ukuba ndichaze ukuba zikhona izingxengxezo zabanye abantu abangekhoyo apha namhlanje. Umama uNonkosi Mvana njengoba besendichazile ukuba ucelile ungxengxezile namhlanje akaphumelelanga ngabantu ke abanolunye uxanduva kwezinye indawo. Umama uLetitia Alice kwakunye noSithembile Hlongo noKate Bilanku. Kodwa ke sile komiti sihleli apha namhlanje ndicinga uba singabaninzi okanye iqela lethu elininzi likhona apha. Singathi sikwazi ke ukuqhubeka nalo
thank you very much. We note and accept the apologies of the members that are not here. But ladies and gentlemen, I've actually been advised to make a proposal to the meeting. The constituency where we are here today, it's mainly in terms of language, English and African speaking people. So the advice that I've received is that we must just propose to the meeting, or before we proceed, we just need to get an indication as to how many other people or stakeholders are here in the hall who speaks maybe vernacular Xhosa or any other language, so that we can determine which language to use. Because it's not going to help us that we also translate in any other vernacular language or Xhosa, whilst there are no one who's sitting in the hall who needs that translation.
Ek is ook raad gegee om net seker te maak, omdat ons dra kennis dat die omgewing waar ons is, hierdie sitting is in 'n gebied waar daar sterk Engels, Afrikaans gepraat word, maar ek is raad gegee om net vas te stel, is daar enige ander tale wat ook teenwoordig is, sodat ons net kan seker maak dat wanneer ons vertaal ons aan die regte mense, dat ons nie 'n geval kry dat ons praat 'n inheemse taal of ons vertaal 'n inheemse taal en hier is niemand wat 'n inheemse taal anders as die Afrikaans praat nie. So as daar mense is wat enige ander taal praat, kan u net 'n aanduiding gee sodat die voorsitter kan sien wie dit is en ons kan die rigting bepaal oor wat is werkswyse wat ons van die dag aanneem.
Ndithe ndaziswa ke ukuba iilwimi ezithethwa kakhulu apha sisiNgesi kwakunye neAfrikaans. Ngoku ndicela ukwazi ukuba ingaba bakhona abanye abantu abadinga ezinye iilwimi kwenzela singahambi sixesha ngokuba siqhubeke nokutolika iilwimi ezifana nesiXhosa kanti akukho bantu badinga ezo nkonzo ezinjalo. Ingaba ningathi niphakamise izandla nisibonise uba bakhona abantu abathetha ezinye iilwimi ezingeso siNgesi kwakunye neAfrikaans. siXhosa.
Okay, can we get an indication? Can you just raise your hands quickly so that we determine?
Cela
As ons nie die hande
niphakamise
kan lig, dat
izandla
ons kan vasstel.
ngokukhawuleza sizowubona.
Okay, now we understand. So it looks like now we've got many people also who will need the Xhosa translation. So we'll proceed with the two translators. We'll speak in English, so we'll translate into Afrikaans and then isiXhosa as well. Thank you very much for that.
So die praktyktaal vir die dag sal wees Engels en Afrikaans, Engels na Afrikaans en dan isiXhosa na Engels vir die dag. Baie dankie vir die aanduiding vir Arfan.
Kuyacaca ke ukuba baliqela abantu abayothi badinge inkonzo yotoliko yesiXhosa. Siyaqhubeka ke ngohlobo sisebenza ngalo, sitolike ngesiNgesi, sithethe ngesiNgesi, sitolike ngesiXhosa, sitolike nangeAfrikaans. Enkosi ke ngako oko.
Okay, thanks. We are moving now to the next item. So we'll actually call upon any one of our leaders from the municipality, whether it's a district mayor, it's a local mayor, it's a councillor, or any other leader, or whether you are a pastor, just to come forward, a leader of any forum, organization, and all of that. Just come forward. Please come to the podium just to welcome us, and then we proceed.
As daar is enige van die munisipale leierskap, of dit 'n raadslid is en of dit nou 'n burgemeester is en of dit nou iemand uit die gemeenskap uit op die gemeenskapsforum, selfs al is dit ook die dominee of die pastore, om net te kom en dan die verrigtinge die welkom te kom heet voor ons afskop.
Siyakugqithela ke kumba olandelayo. Ukuba ukhona umuntu mhlawumbi noba ngumuntu wakwamasipala noba inkokheli yombutho othile noba ngulomuntu inkokheli ekuhlaleni noba ngumfundisi okhoyo onothi aphakame azokusamkela kule ndawo, singayivuyela lonto. Inkosi.
Thank you. Or it could be maybe a chairperson of the, we've got someone coming. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues, friends, and family.
Goeiemôre, collega's, vriende en familie.
Molweni bahlobo, lusapho kwakunye.
My name is Ryan van Wyk. I'm the Director for Socio-Economic Development at the Cape Winelands District Municipality.
Ek is die directeur van maatskaplike
Socio-Economic Development.
Socio-ekonomiese ontwikkeling.
Yeah. I have been mandated by my Executive Director, Dr. Elna van Slicht.
Ek is gemandateer of ek is die taak opgelê deur die direkteur
Die uitvoerende burgemeester, Dr. Elna van Slicht, en die municipale bestuurder.
Molweni, igama lam ndinguRyan van Wyk, ndingu-Director we Social Economic Development. Ndiziswe ke ngu-Director oPhaphezulu.
Okay, and from our mayor side, she welcome you and she welcome your input. And from the municipality as a whole, plus all our stakeholders, we are pleasured and we would like to thank the Parliament for coming to us, the second last public hearing that you have, and we trust that you will give your inputs in this bill, because it's a very important bill, because at the municipality they always say social development is not a local government mandate, but our municipality made the decision to budget for it. So every year we budget for the older persons in our budget. We are hosting the Golden Games. We are involved in the support services. We are involved with organizations. We are involved with creating a life of opportunity for the older persons, because we all will become old one day. But in our heart, we will remain young, and we will enjoy what we can until the day we cannot. So from our mayor, our message is, have a good day, have good input, and still enjoy the last day, because every day we have a chance. We have a chance to improve, and as an official, it is my duty to make sure that our municipality remain in that mandate. Thank you very much, and our good luck to you.
Vanaf ek is dan gemandateer om dan dankie te sê aan die vanaf onze burgemeester en by ons heet die parlementaire portefeuille komitee baie welkom hier en ook wat ons sê ons dankie dat hulle gekom het na ons om te kom luister en selfs dan die tweede laaste been af te handel van hierdie openbare verhore en van ons wil dan seker maak dat die maatskaplike ontwikkeling is nie net 'n plaaslike nie, maar 'n gesamentlike poging wat aangewend word. Dat wil sê ons begroot vir verrigtinge om plaas te vind en betrekking het op ons senior burgers, selfs ook ons is betrokke in verskeie projekte om seker te maak vir die vooruitgang en die versorging van ons senior burgers. Ons doen dit met die gedagte dat ons is vandag jong, maar eendag gaan ons ook oud wees, dan sal ons ook hierdie versorging nodig hê. Vandag is ons jong en wanneer ons oud raak, sal ons nie in ons hart nie. Ons hart sal nog jeugdig bly en so vanaf ons burgemeester wil ons u bedank en ons heet u baie welkom en ons vra vir ons senior burgers om deel te neem aan hierdie gesprek om seker te maak dat ons het 'n gesamentlike verstandhouding met die implementering van hierdie wetsontwerp.
Phansi ke kwegama likasodolophi okanye umeya sizonibulela kakhulu ngokuba nibe lapha. Siyayibulela kakhulu neparlamente ethe yathatha ixesha yaza kuthi izokuthetha ngalomthetho usayilwayo obaluleke kakhulu ngoba le ibill ebaluleke kakhulu. Social development ayilosebe nje likarhulumente wasekuhlaleni kodwa lisebe elibaxabise kakhulu abantu abadala. Nathi ke sawuthi sibe badala ngenye imini kodwa sihlale sibatsha ezinhliziyweni. Ndifuna ukuthi kubantu abadala nilonwabele olusuku lwanamhlanje nihlale nonwabile futhi ngoba imini nemini kunikezela ithuba lokuba uphile futhi wonwabe. Enkosi.
Thank you very much for the welcome by the representative, the director from the office of the district municipality. We are really happy that we have been welcomed in the town, and then we are now free to engage and interact with the social workers and the different sectors and all of that. Thank you very much for welcoming us. We are now moving to the next item, which will be the summary of the bill. We'll hand over to one of our colleagues here just to take us through in terms of the summary of the bill. Which areas need to be strengthened, what are the challenges, what the bill is all about, and then just a summary of it. Can we hand over now to Honorable Paul Nitamarais to take us through the summary of the bill. Thank you.
Ons gaan nou na die volgende fase van ons program en dit is die opsomming van die ouer persone wysigingswet en hierdie is net 'n opsomming waar ons deurgaan oor waar kan ons aanpas, waar kan ons 'n bietjie wysig en hierdie proses gaan hanteer word deur agbare lid Polita Mare.
Enkosi kakhulu ke ngokusamkela. Siyazi ke ngokuba sikhululekile uba singathi sithetha-thethane nathi nani siyakubulela oko. Ngoku siyawuthi sigqithele kumba olandelayo osisishwankathelo salomthetho usayilwayo. Siyakugqithisela ke kugxa wam sithethe ngemicelimngeni ukuba yintoni kanye lomthetho nokuba zeziphi into ekufuneka uqiniswe kuzo kanye womelelwe kuzo ugqithiselwe njani. Enkosi.
The purpose of the bill, I'm going to go through the summary of this, and then you can understand the reason why you are here, and then you can then afterward contribute to what you feel about the bill.
Ek gaan eers 'n opsomming gee oor die doel van hierdie wetsontwerp sodat u kan verstaan waarom u hier is en u daarvolgens kan deelname het aan die gesprekvoering.
Ndiza kuthi ke ndishwankathele lo mthetho usayilwayo ndiqwalasele kwizinto ezibalulekileyo niyazi uba kutheni nilapha futhi nizawuthi xa nithetha nithethe ngantoni.
The bill seeks to amend the Older Persons Act of number 13 of 2006 to address its implementation challenges. It seeks to insert new definitions and new provisions relating to the monitoring and evaluation of all services to older persons, to make provisions for the removal of older persons to temporary safe care without a court order, to tighten up the existing implementation and compliance measure, to effect some textual amendments for greater clarity.
Die doel van hierdie wetsontwerp is om te kyk na die ouer persone wet nommer 13 van 2006 om aan te spreek die implementeringsuitdagings. Dit wil ook aanwerk aan die definisies van nuwe voorwaardes en verwante monitering en evaluering van die dienste aan ouer persone om seker te maak dat daar voorsiening gemaak vir die verwydering van ouer persone na tydelike veiligheidsplekke sonder hofbevel en om te versterk die bestaande implementering en die voldoening van maatreëls en effektiewe kontekstuele wysigings op 'n duidelike manier.
Lo mthetho usayilwayo ujongwe ukuba ulungise umthetho unumber 13 ka-2006 ukulungisa nokuhambisa imicelimngeni ekhoyo. Ikwajonge ke ukufaka iinkcazelo ezikhoyo maliyela nokubekwa esweni nokuhlalutywa kweenkonzo eziziselwa abantu abadala. Ijonge ke nokuzisa iinkonzo zokuthi kususwe umntu omdala abekwe kwindawo yokhathalelo ethile ngaphandle kokulandela imigaqo nemiqathango yowisomthetho. Ijonge ke nokulungisa kwakunye nokulandela izinto ezikhoyo ukuzisa ingcaciso ethe gca mayelana nomthetho lona.
What are the challenges it seeks to address in relation to the Older Persons Act? The bill seeks to address the gap that we identified in the Older Persons Act and its implementation. It does seek to address the following challenges.
Wat is die uitdagings wat hierdie wetsontwerp wil aanspreek of adresseer? Die wetsontwerp wil hierdie gaping adresseer wat geïdentifiseer is in die ouer persone wet en sy implementering en so wil dit dan sodoende die volgende uitdagings werk aan.
Lo mthetho ke ujonge ukuvala imisansa ekhoyo ukuchaza umthetho omayelana nabantu abadala kwakunye nokugqithiselwa kwenkonzo zayo. Sawujonga ke okanye sawuphakamisa le micelimngeni ilandelayo.
Lack of coordination between government to deliver service to older person. A lot of times what we see is that government is implementing things, but at the end of the day the service does not go to the older person. So we need to address that problem.
Tekort aan die koördinering tussen die regering en die dienslewering van die ouer persone. Baie kere sien ons dat 'n wet word in werking gestel, maar die diens wat daarmee gepaard gaan, kom net nie na vore nie. So ons wil hierdie wetsontwerp wil daardie ding aanspreek.
Lo mthetho ke ujonge ukunqongophala kokusebenzisana kukarhulumente kwakunye nabantu abadala ukuzisa inkonzo. Amaxesha amaninzi siyaqaphela uba zikhona ezi nkonzo kodwa azigqithiselwa kubantu abadala.
Non-inclusion in the Act of the valuable role older persons play in their families in terms of passing knowledge and wisdom to the younger generation. What is happening, a lot of our old people have a lot of knowledge. They know where the family comes from. They know the family history. It is for the older person to teach the younger ones what the family is all about. And that is what the Act is also trying to get the family inclusive so that the knowledge comes from the older persons down to the younger ones.
Hierdie is die volgende deel wat die wetsontwerp wil insluit, is die nie-insluiting van die wet op die waardevolle rol wat die ouer persone in die familierol kan speel, in gevolge die oordrag van wysheid aan jonger persone, aan die jonger generasie. Wat dit eintlik beteken is, baie kere sit ons met ouer persone wat waardevolle inligting het, en die waardevolle inligting gaan verlore, omdat daar is nie oordrag na die volgende generasie nie. So hierdie gedeelte van die wetsontwerp wil daarna kyk, om onze senior burgers erkenning te gee, sodat hulle hierdie inligting kan oordra aan die volgende generasie.
Lo mthetho ke ukwajonga ukungabandakanywa kwabantu abadala kumthetho okhoyo ngendima abayidlalayo ebalulekileyo kwiintsapho zabo ngokugqithisa ulwazi kwakunye nobulumko kwabo basakhulayo. Siyaqaphela abantu abadala banolwazi oluninzi, banobulumko, kodwa azikho iindlela zokugqithisela olo lwazi nobobulumko kwabo basakhulayo okanye kwisizukulwana esizayo.
Lack of legal provision for older persons to be capacitated on non-communicable diseases. A lot of times we get a lot of illness that is running around, and our old people don't understand what it is all about and how to treat themselves. So this is what the Act is also trying to do, to capacitate people to know exactly what illness they are dealing with.
Hierdie gedeelte van die wetsontwerp wat sê dat daar 'n tekort aan wetlike voorsiening vir aan ouer persone om toegerus te word oor hierdie siektes wat aan die lig kom van tyd tot tyd. Wat dit beteken is, daar is siektes wat aan die lig kom, en ons ouer persone, ons senior burgers is nie toegerus nie. Hulle weet nie waaroor hierdie siektes gaan nie, en sodoende weet hulle nie hoe om dan die regte behandeling te kry, of dan selfs wanneer hulle self wil behandel nie.
Lo mthetho ke ukwajonga ukunqongophala kwezibonelelo ezisemthethweni zokuba umuntu omdala angathi axhotyiswe njani ngokwezifo ezingosuleliyo, ngoba ngamaxesha amaninzi uyaqaphela uba zikhona izifo ezingosuleliyo abantu abadala bangathi bazi okanye bangazi ngazo, kodwa abayazi ukuba bangathi bazikhusele njani kwezo zifo.
Lack of legal provision for service to older persons with disabilities and chronic illness. A lot of times we have people that is disabled that can't go to the clinic by themselves. We have chronic sickness like diabetes and high blood pressures, and we say that the services don't come to the people. I know in Cape Town we have people coming around to bring a medication once a month, and in other provinces we don't have that. So we need to make sure that these people that can't move around, that is disabled, they need to get the proper services as well.
Die volgende gedeelte van hierdie wetsontwerp is 'n tekort aan wetlike voorsiening vir dienste aan ouer persone, gestremde ouer persone, en ook wat aan kroniese siektes ly. Wat hierdie gedeelte beteken is dat ons het ouer persone wat gestremd is en hulle nie self kan help, en daarom keer hulle dan dienslewering daar in daardie gebied. As ook het ons mense van ons senior burgers wat byvoorbeeld ly aan kroniese siektes soos diabetes, hoë bloeddruk en hierdie klas siektes. So ons wil seker maak dat hierdie dienste kom na hulle op die regte tyd. As ook, ons het byvoorbeeld in die Kaap gesien dat ons het werkers, gemeenskapswerkers of werkers wat dan rondloop en op 'n maandelikse basis medikasie uitdeel aan hierdie senior burgers wat nie kan beweeg tot daar nie. So ons wil hê dat hierdie wetsontwerp so hê dat dit in werking gestel kan word, dat dit van toepassing kan wees dwars oor die land, oor die ander provinsies.
Ukunqongophala ke kwenkonzo ezenzelwe abantu abadala abaphila nokhubazeko kwakunye nezifo ezinganyangekiyo. Uyakuqaphela ke umuntu uyawuthi uhlala eKapa kwindawo ethile kodwa akakwazi ukufumana amayeza wakhe kwindawo efanele ubuzifumana kuzo.
Lack of proper monitoring and registration of community-based care service and residential facilities. We need to make sure that people are registered to work with these older persons, because you get a lot of NPOs and NGOs that is working in the community, but they're not registered. So what we are saying for home-based care, where they go to the people's houses, there must be proper legal institution registration for these people to know that these people are registered and they are the right people that is going to come to your house.
Die volgende punt wat ek wil aanspreek is die tekort aan behoorlike monitering en registrasie van gemeenskapsorganisasies wat dienste lewer by die huise en in die inrigtings en die fasiliteite. Wat hierdie wetsontwerp in hierdie gedeelte sê is dat baie kere vind ons dat hier is hierdie home-based care, hierdie mense wat dan kom om dienste te lewer aan die huise. Wat ons wil hê is dat hierdie persone wat dan omkom, moet behoorlik geregistreerde persone wees, sodat ons dan die monitering daarvan kan goed hanteer ook.
Ikujonga ke nokunqongophala kokubekwa esweni okufanelekileyo kunye nokubhaliswa kweenkonzo zokhathalelo ezisekelwe ekuhlaleni kunye neendawo zokuhlala. Uyakuqaphela ke ngamaxesha amaninzi zikhona iindawo zokukhathalela abantu okanye ezizisa iinkonzo zokunceda abantu abadala, kodwa ezo ndawo azibhaliswanga. Sisebenzela ukuba ezi ndawo zonke zithi zibhaliswe ukwenzela abantu xa befuna ukuza kwakho okanye endlini yakho kwaziwe uba ngabantu aba ababhalisiweyo abasemthethweni.
Lack of legal provision for training of caregivers providing frail care services. We do have these facilities, and then we get people that is caregivers, but they've never been to training. So we say that we need to have people that goes on proper training to know how to deal with frail care people.
Die volgende gedeelte is die tekort aan wetlike of voorsiening vir die opleiding van versorgers en hulle wat dienste lewer aan die bejaardes wat dan ernstig siek is of bedlend is byvoorbeeld. Baie kere vind ons dat ons het mense wat dan hierdie dienste lewer of uitkom om hierdie dienste te lewer, maar hierdie mense is nie behoorlik opgelei nie. So wat die wetsontwerp na kyk, is om seker te maak dat elke persoon wat hom of haar noem 'n versorger van ons senior burgers of dit by die huis is en of wat in 'n instansie is, daardie persone moet geregistreer en behoorlik opgeleide persone wees.
Kukwakhona ke nokunqongophala kokuqeqeshwa okanye ukutreinwa kwabantu esibabiza ngokuba zii-caregivers okanye abantu ngabakhathaleli kwiinkonzo zononophelo ekuhlaleni. Sifuna uqinisekisa ke abo bantu bathe baqeqeshwa ngokusemthethweni ukulungela ukuzisa ezi nkonzo kwabantu badala.
Lack of legal provision for the removal of an older person to a temporary safe care resulted in older person continue staying with the abuser in case where they have no alternative accommodation. What this basically is saying, a lot of our old people are being abused, and what we're trying to do is to take the person out of that facility without going to court to get a court order to remove the person. But a lot of times there is no alternative accommodation for these people. Then they stay with the abusers because there is no alternative for them.
Hierdie volgende gedeelte van die wetsontwerp sê 'n tekort aan wetlike voorsiening vir die verwydering van die ouer persone of die senior burgers na 'n tydelike veilige plek. En hierdie het 'n gevolg dat die ouer persone moet dan aanhou bly met die mishandelaars, en in sekere gevalle is dit sake waar hulle geen alternatief het. Daar is geen alternatiewe verblyf. En wat hierdie wet dan sê, wat hierdie gedeelte sê is, soms wil ons die senior burger verwyder vanaf die mishandelaars. Nou het ons die persoon weg, maar daar's nie fasiliteite nie. So die wetsontwerp wil daarna kyk om 'n persoon te verwyder sonder om na die hof toe te gaan, maar te bring na 'n veilige plek waar hierdie persoon versorg kan word.
Kwakhona ke lo mthetho ujonge ukunqongophala kwenkonzo ezisemthethweni zokususa abantu abadala kwindawo abahlala kuzo. Umzekelo umuntu omdala uphethwe kakubi kuloo ndawo ahlala kuyo, athi asuswe ngendlela esemthethweni futhi abekwe kwindawo ekhuselekileyo yexeshana. Xa ingaziswanga le nkonzo, abantu abadala bathi bahlale baqhubeke nokuhlala nabo bababukulayo okanye babaphethe gadalala.
Gaps in bringing the alleged abuses before the magistrate as a result case of abuser of older person are always thrown out of court due to lack of evidence. So the problem that we are addressing here is that when you go to court and the person has been abused and the case has been thrown out, and if you are being acknowledged as an abuser of an older person, the committee also discussed that we must have a role there where your name is appearing so that you don't go and work in any other facility because you have been abusing older persons. That is what the bill also want to make sure of.
Die volgende gedeelte is die tekort, is om te kyk na die tekortkominge om hierdie beweerde mishandelaars voor 'n landdroshof te bring En dit het die gevolg dat sommige van die sake word dan teen hierdie persone, hierdie mishandelaars wat dan nou voor die hof gebring word dan baie kere word dit uit die hof gegooi omdat daar 'n tekort is aan bewyse. So wat die wetsontwerp na kyk is om seker te maak dat die gapings wat daar is om behoorlike bewyse te kan bring vir 'n suksesvolle vervolging van 'n mishandelaar. As ook het die komitee bespreek dat daar word daarna gekyk dat daar 'n register opgestel kan word, sou 'n persoon skuldig gevind word in die hof dat hy of sy dan 'n mishandelaar is, dat so 'n persoon op daai register kom en nooit weer toegelaat word om met ouer persone te kan werk nie.
Lo mthetho ke ukwajonga umsantsa okhoyo phakathi kokuzisa lo mtyholwa uthe waphatha gadalala umntu omdala phambi komantyi ngenxa yokunqaba kobungqina okanye umntu omdala xa ethe wahlukunyezwa ababikho ubungqina ityala liye likhutshelwe ngaphandle libonwe njengento engenamsebenzi. Lo mthetho ke ngoku ufuna ukuba lowo uthe waphatha gadalala umntu omdala bekhona apho kubhalwe igama lakhe khona ukwenzela uba akwazi ukube khona ukutshutshiseko kukhoyo angakwazi ukufumana umsebenzi. Umzekelo libe igama lakhe likhona uba yena ungumntu ophethe umntu omdala gadalala.
Lack of legal definition of physical abuse, older are not protected from certain unlawful activities that constitute physical abuse. The law must make clear to say what is physical abuse. Is smacking a person physical abuse? You get financial abuse, you get all types of abuse. So there's no clear lines that say what is abuse. We need to define what is abuse when it comes to an older person.
Die volgende gedeelte wat dit spreek aan die tekort aan wetlike definisies oor wat fisiese misbruik is aan ouer persone. So daar is nie behoorlike definisie wat dit bepaal nie. En dit maak dit moeilik om te sê wat is dan hoe werk hierdie saak van fisiese definisies, fisiese mishandeling. Wat die wet na kyk is daar moet lyne getrek word en bepalings gemaak kan word. Is klap 'n vorm van misbruik. Ons is ook bewus dat daar's finansiële misbruik of mishandeling. So daar word die wet kyk, die wetsontwerp kyk daarna om seker te maak dat daar is die maatstawe wat in plek gestel word kan help om te kan sê hierdie is mishandeling of hierdie is nie mishandeling.
Kwakhona ke lo mthetho uqaphele ukungabikho okanye ukunqongophala kwenkcazelo esemthethweni yokuxhatshazwa ngokusemzimbeni. Akuchazwa ngakwacaca ukuba kuyintoni ukuxhaphaza umntu ngokusemzimbeni, ngaba kukumbetha, ngoba kukhona nezinye indlela zokuxhaphaza okanye ukuphatha gadalala abantu abadala mhlawumbi ngokwezemali zabo. Ngoko lo mthetho ujonga ke ukuba yintoni inkcazelo kanye uba yintoni ukuphatha gadalala umntu omdala ngokuxhatshazwa ngokusemzimbeni.
Gaps in terms of empowering a clerk of the court or registrar to provide the minister with details of the offender, convictions and sentence for the purpose of adding such information to the register upon conviction of the sentence. What will happen is a lot of people will go to court and sometimes the court clerks and the register, they don't know how to handle these cases. So that is why we're saying that these people must also be empowered, and when an older person come and lay a claim and they go to court, not just to throw the cases out, but they must know how to handle these old people, because a lot of old people are complaining that when they go to the police, they go to court, the case is thrown out because they say it's lack of evidence. So these people in court must also be trained on how to deal with these older persons.
Dan hierdie volgende gedeelte van die wetsontwerp spreek aan die gapings wat daar is, of die tekortkominge wat daar is, en die toerusting, of dat die hofklerke toegerus moet word, selfs die griffier toegerus moet word, met die inmagtiging deur die minister, en om die besonderhede van die oortreder bekend te maak. En dan is die vervolging en die vonnis oplê vir die doel van om nog meer inligting te verskaf aan die register, op wanneer so 'n persoon dan skuldig gevind word. Wat dit hier sê is dat die hofklerke, die landdroste, die ondersoekbeamptes, die wetsontwerp wil hê, hulle moet behoorlik toegerus word om al die besonderhede bymekaar te kan maak, sou 'n persoon dan beweer word dat hy 'n mishandelaar is of dat hy die wet oortree. Wanneer al hierdie inligting volledig ingesamel is, hierdie inligting kan dan help met die suksesvolle vervolging van 'n oortreder. Vir nou weet ons dat baie sake word uitgegooi en van die hofrolle geskraap as gevolg van onvoldoende inligting, maar dan weet ons ook dit is as gevolg van die persoon wat die besonderhede moes opgeneem het, is nie volledig of voldoende opgelei om die werk te kan doen nie.
Kwakhona ke ukhona umsantso okhoyo xa sijonga abo bantu babhalisa abantu okanye umuntu osekhothe enkundleni obhalisa umuntu ozise ityala. Ngoko ke lo mthetho uza kujonga ukuxhobisa abo babhalisayo kwenzela umuntu omdala xa ethe wahamba wokumangala athi uphethwe gadalala ngendlela ethile angatyhalelwa ngaphandle kuba kusithwa abukho ubungqina boko. Lo mthetho ke uxhobisa abo babhalisayo bakwazi ukutshutshisa nokubamba abo bathi babukule okanye baphathe gadalala abantu abadala.
So what this bill is trying to do is to prevent abuse of our older persons, to make sure our older person is having a proper place to go and stay and an alternative place to stay, to make sure that the people that they are staying with, the caregivers, is not abusing them. You have a lot of cases where women are being accused of witchcraft, and when the older person is staying alone, they want to kill the person, they want to burn down the houses. So what we are saying as social development is that we want to make sure that our older persons are protected. Our older persons have the right to life, our older person have the right to dignity. And also, in a way, while they are still alive, to promote and give all the wisdom they're having over to the next generation. So the bill is there to aim that our people are protected with the right facilities, and all the MPOs and NGOs and the different stakeholders that is working with these older persons, they are capable to look after our older persons. Thank you.
So wat hierdie bil of hierdie wetsontwerp ten doel het, is om oor grootendeels te kyk na die beskerming van ons senior burgers, om seker te maak dat die plekke waar hulle bly, dit is veilige plekke en dit is plekke wat toegerus is om so persone te kan behandel, om seker te maak dat die mense wat dan diens lewer of dan die versorgers van hierdie ouer persone, selfs al is dit by die huis, by die huise waar hulle woon, dit is om seker te maak dat hierdie mense as mense wat gekyk kan word en hulle kan vertrou word met die versorging van ons senior burgers. Ook wil hierdie wetsontwerp seker maak dat as daar dan versorgers is wat van buitekant afkom of selfs die wat wil kom ons sê hulle het 'n NPO geregistreer en hulle wil diens lewer aan ons senior burgers, dat selfs daardie persone geskik is en opgelei is, behoorlik opgelei is om hierdie werk te kan doen sonder om nagevolge te hê van mishandeling en so aan. So hierdie wetsontwerp wil seker maak dat selfs die gelde van die senior burgers, niemand vat ons senior burgers se geld nie. As ook om seker te maak dat ons senior burgers kan in 'n gesonde omgewing hulle voortbestaan voortgaan en die kennis en kundigheid wat hulle het, kan hulle dit oordra na die volgende generasie. So hierdie wetsontwerp het dit alles ten goeie vir ons senior burgers.
Ukuqukumbela ke eyona njongo phambili yalo mthetho ukukhusela abantu abadala ekuhlaleni baphile impilo ekhuselekileyo. Uyakuqaphela kabanixesha amaninzi abantu abadala bahlala bodwa, ngabanye amaxesha bayatyholwa, kuthiwa bayathakatha, bafuna ukutshiselwa izindlu. Lo mthetho ke ujonge ukuba khusela, ukuqinisekisa ukuba abantu bethu esiphila nabo abadala banobomi obukhuselekileyo ngeli xesha besaphilayo, futhi ke banobomi obunesidima, futhi ke sijonge nokuba bagqithisele ubulumko nolwazi kulutsha nakwisizukulwane esilandelayo ngokusemthethweni, kwakunye ne-NPO ne-NGO zikwazi ukusebenzisana nabantu baka-social development ukuhambisa lo mthetho. Inkosi.
Thank you very much. Now we know what the bill seeks to achieve, which areas to be strengthened, and then what challenges our senior citizens are actually facing. So with the summary presented by Honorable Marais, we were actually trying to, maybe just to give a sense of why we are here and what is it that we want to achieve. And then also trying to direct the contributions from the members of the public in terms of the areas that needs to be strengthened. So we are here now, we'll be proceeding to allow now our members of the public, the stakeholders, everybody that is here, to make the oral submissions. But before we proceed in that manner, we just need to indicate that we are going to proceed in this manner. One member of the public will be allowed to make his or her own submission, and then that member will actually get 3 minutes to make your submission. So we'll start on the left-hand side, and then we'll come to the right-hand side. But how we do it, not everybody is going to stand up and wants to speak, or people will be raising their hand. We are going to allow the public, to raise their hands. We note them. There'll be parliamentary staff that are going to move around. Once you are noted, and then you'll be allowed to come to the middle, on this middle row here, where there are chairs. And then you sit there, and then you come to the mic to come and make your submission.
Die werkswyse gaan as volg nou wees. Ons gaan nou begin om u mening en u aanvoere gaan ons na luister. Maar die werkswyse gaan as volg wees. Elke spreker gaan 3 minute kry om te praat. En die 3 minute wat die persoon kry om te praat, gaan die persoon sy aanvoerings gee. Maar wat gaan gebeur is mense gaan nie net opstaan en kom sit nie. Ons gaan aan hierdie kant gaan ons begin. Die persoon wat die hand opsteek, sal die voorsitter erkenning gee en aanduiding gee dat u kan beweeg, dan kom sit u in hierdie middelste ry stoele. Sodra die ry stoele dan vol is, dan sal die persoon dan opstap na die mikrofoon toe.
Kwakhona ke sivile kuba lo mthetho usayilwayo eyona njongo yawo yintoni njengoba ugxa wam ethe washwankathela nje. Ngoko ke lonto isinikile umkhombandlela ukuba sizawuthetha ngantoni apha namhlanje. Ngoku ndizawuninika ithuba ningabantu bokuhlala lokuba niphakamise izandla. Kodwa hayi wonke umuntu olapha uyawuthi athethe, kuyawuchongwa ezo zandla zithile. Bakhona abantu basebenzi baseparlamente abakhoyo abazawuchonga ezo zandla bababeke apha abantu bawuthi banikwe umuntu ngamnye imizuzu emithathu ukuba umuntu atsho ukuba zithini yena izimvo zakhe.
Now we are also going to proceed in this manner. When you are identified to come and speak, when you get to the mic, before you make your submission, you must introduce yourself, and then you must also indicate whether you support the bill or you don't support the bill. And then you must also indicate which organization are you representing and all of that within the 3 minutes that is allocated to you. But if there are issues that are sensitive, because you might be here as part of the public hearing, but you've got something which is actually hurting you, maybe as a result of a number of other social ills, maybe through abuse or something that you went through, and then you feel uncomfortable to come and raise it here so that everybody must hear. We have also made allocation for that. You don't have to come to the podium. You can come to the table here on the right. And then there you come and make your submission quietly to say, this is what is happening and all of that, can you assist me? Because not everybody has got that confidence, or not everybody wants their stories to be heard in public. So we have made provision for such things.
Wat dan die volgende gedeelte van die werkswyse gaan wees, wanneer die persoon agter die mikrofoon kom, u gaan jouself voorstel wie u is, en dan gaan u vervolgens sê of u die wetsontwerp ondersteun of u verwerp dit. En dan sal u dan nou verduidelik waarom u dit ondersteun of verwerp. Ook wat ons dan gaan het, omdat ons tussen ons het, is daar mense wat baie met kwessies wat baie sensitief van aard is baie na aan die hart, is persoonlike dinge, soos byvoorbeeld iemand het u mishandel of iemand het u te nagekom of benadeel op een of ander wyse. Al wat u hoef te doen, en u wil nou nie hê, of u wil dit nou nie in die openbaar kom bekend maak nie. Daar is voorsiening gemaak vir dit. Die tafel aan u linkerkant en aan die regterkant van die voorsitter, daardie tafel gaan u net naartoe beweeg, en dan gaat u daar die inligting gaat u daar verskaf. Hulle gaan vir u blaadjie gee, u vul in, dan gee u dit terug aan hulle, want daardie aanvoere gaan ook opgeneem word na hierdie en deurgewerk word hierdie portefeulje komitee.
Phambi koba siqale ke sizawulandela lo mqathango uzawunika imizuzu emithathu yokuthetha. Kule mizuzu emithathu uyacelwa ukuba wazise igama lakho, ifani yakho, indawo osuka kuyo yokuhlala. Uba ukhona umbutho owumeleyo uchaze lo mbutho, uchaze ukuba uyawuxhasa okanye awuxhasi nalo mthetho usayilwayo.
So there are also members of the public who would want to make a written submission. A member who has actually went through the bill, have seen the bill, and then feels there's no need for me to go and raise it in the mic. I've written my submission. I know exactly which areas I need Parliament to actually look at. So for such members, you don't have to go to the podium. You can also go direct to the table and then go and present yourself at the table to say, this is so and so, this is my name, this is the organization that I represent, this is my written submission.
Dan is daar ook voorsiening gemaak vir lede van die publiek wat byvoorbeeld hulle die wetsontwerp het hulle deurgelees, deurgewerk en hulle is heeltemal vertroud met dit, maar daar is sekere wysigings of aanvoerings wat u wil byvoeg en wil hê die portefeulje komitee moet daarna kyk. So al wat u dit dan doen is, sodra as u dit klaar neergeskryf het, dan is dit nie nodig dat u nou hier kom staan nie, agter die mikrofoon en dit wat u geskryf het weer oorlees nie. Al wat u doen is, u gaan met daardie dokument, dan gaan u na die tafel aan u linkerkant, die voorsitter se regterkant, en dan gee u deur, dan sê u ek is die en hier is my aanvoeringe wat ek graag wil hê, dat die parlementêre portefeulje komitee moet aandag skenk op, en hulle gaan dit deurwerk, en dan gaan hulle daar ooreenkoms wat hulle ook aan gebruik.
Kwakhona ke abantu abadala kungenzeka ikhona into yobuqu mhlambi bithe yakwehlela kodwa awufuna uba wonke umuntu olapha kweliholo ayive lonto. Akhona amaphepha afunyanwayo unothi ubhale kuwo lonto ufuna uyithetha ofuna uncedwa ngayo uyingenise kwakulatafile. Zikhona ke nezinto mhlambi uthe wayijonga yonke le bill wabona uba ungathanda uba le committee ijonge mhlambi pha ku1 okanye ku2 ufuna ukufaka ezo zinto akunyanzelekanga uzomapha embokweni ungathi ubhale izinto zakho phansi uzingenise pha
So I think everybody is now clear in terms of how we are going to proceed moving forward. So now we come to the most important part of our hearings, where we now allow yourself, members of the public, to come and contribute, make the oral submissions. So we are going to start on my left-hand side to identify the hands, and then the Parliament Protection Services will then assist us to identify and bring the members to the middle row.
Ons het nou gekom by die belangrikste deel van die dag se werk en dit is om te luister wat ons senior burgers vir ons te sê het en wat hulle mening is. Ons gaan begin aan my linkerkant en ons gaan die hande wat ons opneem, die hand wat op is, ons die parlementêre beskermingsspan sal dan vir u aanduiding gee waar u kom sit.
Ngoku ke sifika kowona mba ubalulekileyo walo mhlangano sikuwo namhlanje. Abantu bokhuseleko baseParlamente bazawuthi bachonge abantu abaza kuthetha bazawuphakamisa izandla babachonge bababeke apha ezitulweni.
So can we identify the hands on my left hand side? Then we'll just point to give you a number, then you come to the middle row. Okay.
Saqala ke kwisandla sakwelicala sibathatha abantu baze ngaphambili bazokuthetha.
Okay. There's a hand here, ma'am. You are number 1. Come this side. And then number 2 is the lady there. And then can we get more hands on this side, please?
Voorsitter vra, kan daar nog hande aan hierdie kant opkom asseblief, aan die linkerkant? Is daar nog mense wat wil kom help met hierdie wetsontwerp?
Can we get more hands on the left hand side? We've got only 2. So
is daar nog hande? Ons het nog net 2.
There's another one there in the middle there. The third hand. There's another one there at the back, the fourth hand. So it looks like we've got only 4 hands on the left hand side. And then we'll allow the 4 hands to make their submissions. And then after that, we'll move to the right hand side.
Ons gaan dan nou geleentheid gee vir die 4 wat nou hulle aanvoerings gaan gee. Daarna gaan ons oorskuif na die regterkant van die saal.
Okay, so there's another hand on the left hand side. So we've got 5 from my left hand side.
Daar's nog 'n hand. Kan na die persoon?
Okay. Over to you, ma'am. Proceed.
Thank you very much for the opportunity for us to come and be part of the bill and the amendment of the bill. I support the bill, and I'm grateful that we have sign language interpreters present today. We do hope that we have provision for sign language in Worcester. We have lots of people who are facing abuse in their homes, in the community, but as well as the centers. So now if we have staff members who cannot sign or caregivers who cannot sign, how will they communicate what is happening and how they are being treated in the centers? So can you please have interpreters, or can we teach our caregivers sign language so as to make communication smoother and easier in their centers as well? Thank you.
Sorry, did she indicate a name? I missed the name for recording purposes. Or she
Her
did
name
indicate.
is Rita.
Okay.
She works at NID.
Okay, thank you. NID. What is NID? What does it stand for?
Institution for the Deaf, Elderly Care.
Oh.
I'm the manager caring for the older persons at NID.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Goeiemôre. Ek is Elise, my van is Mosenthal. Ek werk nou al baie jare vir die ANC in die wijke. En probleme wat ek optel met die ou mense in die wijke. Eerstens wil ek sê baie dankie wat julle vandag kan uitgekom het. Want dit is al probleme wat ek al oorgegee het toe die president hier was, op die daal was, maar ek het nog niks terugvoering gekry nie. En vir my is dit so hartseer, want as mense wat disability kry, is ou mense wat in donker huise sit. Hulle kabels is gesteel, hulle het nie geld om. Mense praat dit so 3000 rand per kabel. Dan moet die ou mense nog hulle eie elektricien kry, wat omtrent 6-7 rand uitkom. So as julle moet weet hoe baie ou mense en disability mense sit sonnekrag in donker huise, wat vir my net 'n hartseer ding is. Die ander ding is, ek het al ingegaan na die municipaliteit om te gaan vra, is daar nie 'n befondsing wat het lees die ou mense kan help, want hulle kan krag in hulle huis kry. Daar is geen hulp van hulle kant af. Die ander ding is, wat vir my ook 'n seer ding is wanneer die ou mense se krag gesny word as gevolg van water. Dan staan ek by die municipaliteit, by die patlaseer die vaargebouw, dan moet die arme ou mense gedra word van hulle huise af om daar te kom, om die reëling te tref, wat vir my baie onaanvaarbaar is. My ding is, daar is 'n polisie wat hulle kry, wat hulle call die deernis. Nou waarvoor, wat dek die deernis dan nou eindelijk? Die ou mense lewe net van 'n sassakara. Hulle moet lewe daarvan. Hulle moet munisipaliteit betaal daarvan. Wat is dit? Hulle kan nie. Ek dink die ou mense kan nou 150 rand, miskien 'n voet vir daai bal. Maar hulle kan nie 600 tot 700 rand voet hê. Wat vir my oor my firma plek is. Nou kan ek nie gaan om vir die ou mense 'n reëling te gaan tref, as hulle vir my stryd, maar die ou mense moet kom tot daar. Nou moet die ou mense in 'n reistool, nou moet sy sukkel om my ou mense daar te kry. Sy moet half gedra word in. Is onaanvaarbaar, vir my is hy abuse. As abuse vir my is dit abuse, en om in 'n donker huis te sit sonder 'n kragkabel, as geen hoopie. Daai ou mense sit in hy donker huis. Die kabel was gesteel during load shedding. Alright? Die buitepaal behoort mos nie aan ons, dit is nie ons property nie. Maar hulle wil vir jou sê as jou property. Hoe kan hy buitepaal jou property wees? Load shedding is in die nag, hoe kan ek my kragdraad dophou? Kan nie. Die arme ou mens sit nou in hy donker huise en die byt wat ek is. Daar is geen hoop. Ek het al vir fondse gevra, kom hier reg. Net om my ou mense se kragdraad aan te kry. Disability mense sit in reistoele. Daar is 'n kospakkie wat jy kon na hy ou mense toe nie. Sy hoor hy word kospakkies uitgedeel, dit gaan na mense, sekere mense, wat van die arme ou mense en hy disability mense. Wat net liewe van die sas. Van my is dit baie onaanvaarbaar. En ek weet elke dag moet die mense. Eerlik waar, ek weet moet die mense elke dag. Ek kry nie hulp nie. So baie wat jy as ek kan hulp kry van die mense.
Sorry mami, ons wil nou vir u nou sy probleem kom oplos, maar ons moet nou weet mami vir ons sê, en wat se word bly jy?
Ek is in word 14 in Smarty Town in Groenewil.
Okay, want ons het nou iemand wat ons hierso kom verwelkom het.
Baie dankie.
Ja, die direkteur van die munisipaliteit, so ons gaan vra, die direkteur moet vorentoe kom
Ja.
om die ding te kom uitspraak.
Baie dankie.
Maar dit gaan vir my, dit lyk of vir my is meer as die ou mense wat nou nie wat moet hulle se services gaan betaal, die services van die ou mense is gekat, so dit doen baie meerlik met die indigent policies of so. Want
Ja,
as
maar-
iemand geregistreer is vir die indigent policy, maar hier's die direkteur, hy sal vir ons kom
Yes,
lekker tarief aan.
ja.
Dat ons kan na die bottom van dit kan gaan.
Asseblief toch
Ja.
baie dankie.
Maar kan mami net vir ons laat weet, support sy die bill of support sy nie die bill nie?
Sy support die maar wat ek kan sê. Sy kry 'n grant van 2000. U weet mos hoeveel kry die pensionaris. Hoe kan 'n pensionaris R700 gaan neersit? Waarvan liewer die pensionaris?
Okay. Nee, ons het dit gehoor mami. Maar mami, ons vra die direkteur van die munisipaliteit is hierso.
Baie dankie.
Gaan net by die direkteur en also die social worker van die wijk wat u vanaf kom.
En die kragdrade.
Ja. So ons twee van hulle is die munisipaliteit, die services en ook die social worker van die word wat mami afkom.
Baie dankie. Baie dankie.
Ja. So ons gaan nou asseblief ons gaan vra ons moet nou so doen. Ja. Okay. Ons gaan nou vra dat ons nou so doen hè. Daai probleem wat die moeder het né. Ons gaan dit toelaat laat hulle nou twee gaan bespreek met die official van die munisipaliteit, die direkteur. En dan na daai gesprek van hulle later, dan gaan ons maak dat die direkteur hier kom en vir ons kom sê wat gaan gebeur. Want miskien daar sit iemand hier tussen ons met dieselfde probleem sien jy. Ja. So, ons kan dit nou nie 'n geheim maak nie dat hulle daar gaan praat en die probleem daar gaan oplos. Ek dink dit gaan baie fair is dat later after hy gesprek, dan kom die direkteur terug en ons kom sê, hoe gaan hy die probleem kom oplos? Wat moet gebeur en alles? Dankie.
So in summation to what the
Okay.
chair has said,
Okay, direkteur kom. Okay.
in summation to what the chair. Good morning. My name is Elise Mosendal, and I have been working for many years with the ANC. I'm coming from Smarty Town, Ward 4. The problem that I've picked up regarding for many years that I've been working with the ANC, and I'm very heartsore that people sit in the dark. The people get a minimum of 3,000 rand of rent, which eventually hits up to 6,000. I want to bring this up. I have brought this up and asked for funds which can help towards electricity for the elderly person. What is also very heartbreaking is that the electricity and water being cut off for the elderly person. That means that I have been taken to the municipal, the older people need to be taken to the municipal to make arrangements. So we basically have have to drag them to, that is not on. SASSA is the only support, SASSA is the only support that these elderly people get, and everything has to be paid out of that money. Can't the municipality assist, because I must actually go and present with these problems. This is abuse, and this is abuse according to me, and that that people have to, the elderly people have to sit in the dark. The pole outside is faulty, and that there's also load shedding. So this is also the disability people sitting on the wheelchair. Food parcels have been taken and brought to certain houses, which I've also heard, but some people do not get that. I work with these people every single day, and this is a very hassle for me to work, a very stringent for me to work with these people.
Nee, ek dink ons moet nou na die tweede member gaan, en dan die laaste ene, dan gaan ons die directeur vat, laat die directeur vir ons kom explain wat gaat dan.
So we'll be taking the next participant right now, and then we'll end the third one, and then we'll take it from there.
Come, Daddy.
And the good to Julan Masok. So Teta Abon Kalakona up in Beguin. Abon Kalakona up in Beguin, the project, Twimbagon and Abon Beguin, York in Beguin. Isn't though.
Imaga ngqinqi papa ne ndifuna ucacisa kunento enqinqi nje ndifuna ucacisa lo tata lo bekaphendula ngeAfrikaans akasekho apha so sizaba nengxaki because akho umuntu oza translate ngeAfrikaans ngoku utata uthetha iCauses ukhona umuntu oza translate ngeAfrikaans ukhona oh okay all right nankumunye tata qhubeka ke basiqhube papa all right
Ndikuzithulele Masoka ndihlala apha eMbekweni kwiproject 2 sibadala singaka apha eMbekweni apha eMbekweni sibadala njena kukhona indawo ezinjengomathusongo asinazo ubantu thina abantu badala esingenazo funeka sithuke apha sihambe soyichophi eChicago abanye bethu abantu siyasiyana asikwazi kuhamba abanye bethu abantwana basitudalwa asinazo inkonzo ezinjalo kodwa xa sithethayo masihambe siye nantsikeni eTusongo asinazo ezo mali. And then engoku enye into njengabantu asingabantu benkamnkam imibane sicinelwa ngaphambi kwexesha sithi uba sibhatelanga ngezo date bazibekileyo abo bantu siyakuhlala ebumnyameni. Inkonzo ekufanele uba siyazifumana thina abantu badala azikho apha eMbekweni. Akukho mntu kwaba bantu sibabekayo basilandelelayo do ezindlini. Lezi zigulo zethu sinazo sithetha ngazo every day akukho bantu baza kube kanye sokuphinda ubabona. Zezinye zezinto ke ngoku esikhona basiyakhala ngazo asihoyekanga. Naba bantu sibabekileyo akukho khe yabo into kokubana mabazi sijonga ibizimvo zethu zithini na. Kudala sizama Nkosi yami inde nangoku sinazo izinto ekufuneka uba sihambe kuzo asinazo transport zokuya kwezo ndawo nakwabasasa sinazo i-transport zokuya kwezo ndawo. Zizinto ke kungathi siphalaze ezinhlizweni zethu kubuhlungu mani into nje bubutyobo ngakathi lento zithethwe zikhawuleze zilandelwe. Ibuhlungu impilo yethu eMbekweni akho bazakhona ukuthi ifumanayo. Kwezi corruption siyazi siyoyika ukuthetha ngoba singaba abantu hleli singumuthekile enhlizweni asiyazi amasithini na Nkosi.
Enkosi baba. Xa utsho tata uyawuchaza lo mthetho le bill kanye awuchaze na?
Angiva tata.
Do you support the bill or you don't support the bill? Just indicate.
Ngiyayithanda kakhulu. Ngiyayithanda kakhulu ndiyaphila.
Uyawuxhasa nalomthetho uyilwayo tata okanye awuxhasi?
Ngiyawuthanda ndikhanda kakhulu ngiyawuxhasa.
Enkosi tata.
Ngiyawuxhasa.
Enkosi tata.
My name is Zitulele Masoka. I supported the bill. I am from Mbekweni Project 2. That is the area where I'm staying. I am old. There is a place called Tusang. We do not have them. We do not get whatever we want. I cannot walk. And my children are dumb. No proper services are being rendered. Do not have enough money. I am old and we do not have electricity. Electricity is being put off. No services for the old persons. We are not properly represented. We are visited once a time. We are neglected, not cared for properly. I am coming from far. There is no transport, no visit places. We are suffering. We are in pain, in particular in Mbekweni, the area where I am from. We are staying there. I am living under fear. That is all that I wish to say. Thank you.
Goedemorgen, ik ondersteun die wetsontwerp. Mijn naam is Zitulele Matoka. Ik kom van Mbekweni, project 2. Daar is een plek in Mbekweni wat toesang is. Ik is de bejaardige mens. Sommige van ons kan niet slapen. Nie. Ons krijgt niet onze diensten, die diensten van die plek is bij zwak. Die kracht wordt afgeslaan en hulle komen net niet voor ons om te helpen. Dat is geen belangstelling van die oude mensen. Als ons ik probeer al die jaren om die te veranderen en geklaar, maar dat wordt niet Het wordt niet gehoord. Dat is baie hartseer. Ons krijgt niet aandacht aan hierdie locatie. Ons heeft geen transport, ons is in pijn en ik leef in vrees.
Okay, tata sizawucela sikudibanise ne-social worker yakho la uhlala khona because lezi zinto zithethile apho sibuhlungu kakhulu. So lento obeyitsho apho tata sivile ukuthi no ebuhlungu kakhulu lento ethathayo. So sifuna udibanisa ne-social worker yakho. So sifuna uyazi ukuthi no tata la uhlala khona kwephi ward kwephi municipality so that siuhlanganise ne-social worker yakho that. So the social workers, can we get someone to assist the senior citizen who just spoke here, who just spoke now here, that is fearing for his life, he's got problems, they can't even sleep at night and all of that. Can we get one of the social workers to attend to him, please? Ne? Okay. Can we get the last speaker whilst they are trying to sort themselves out?
Goeiemôre almal. Ek wil vir elkeen baie dankie sê vir julle tyd wat julle spandeer om regtig om te sien na ons bejaardes in ons areas, in ons dorpe en in ons communities. Dit is so baie waar dat van ons bejaardes regtig geabuse word deur die kinders self in die huis, klein kinders, geweld wat plaasvind omdat baie van hulle werkloos is, waar dat die bejaarde mamma of die ouma 'n toelaag kry wat sy vir almal moet gaan versorg uit daai geld uit, dan word dit nog besteel ook. Ek sit nou in 'n saak met 'n bejaarde wat 'n saak aangekla is in Wellington, waarvan ek vir haar gaan ondersteun het, waar dit nou al vir 3 jaar aanhou en die tannie nog nooit 'n uitkoms gekry waar dat die kleinseun vir haar so verder abuse het, om die huis te koop wat ouma gehad het op vrugbaar, en maar ouma het soveel regte, so sê die kontrak. En ouma het gevra vir hulle, kan julle nie vir my help nie? En niemand kon vir help nie, want almal is bang vir die kleinseun. En ek het gehoor ouma het by die munisipaliteit kom klaar, omdat sy die rekening moet betaal, maar sy het die waarde op dieselfde erf wat die kleinseun bly nie. Het ek begin inspring en mag gehelp op my eie, totdat ek vir die magistraat gaan vra dat, hoekom moet so 'n saak vir 3 jaar aanloop en ouma kan nie gehelp word nie? Dan het hy vir my verbied, wat 'n kere is om vir ouma te help, om nie op die perseel te mag kom nie. Want ek hoor, hoe praat hy met ouma? Want hy praat net soos hy wil, en hy doen net soos hy wil, en hy sny alles van haar af. Sy moet vir hom kraggeld gee, dan word die krag by hom in die huis ingedruk, maar as hy nie daar is en hy is op die see, dan moet ouma wag, tot wanneer iemand die deur kan kom oopsluit, sy pa, om die krag aan te sit, sodat ouma kan krag kry. Ouma se tuise waar ouma woon, het nie toilet wat moet wegspoel nie, as 'n masjien wat aangesit word, waar ouma moet wag tot wanneer die goed kan wegspoel. Wat vir my voel is onregverdig. Ek het so ver gegaan na die maatskaplikes wat ek gaan hulp soek het. Ek het toe by mevrou Rachel Adams op Stellenbosch uitgekom. Sy het gekom en sy het 'n tuisbesoek kom doen, maar sy het ook vir my gesê, as die saak in die hof is, moet ons wag tot die saak voorkom. Maar elke keer word daar net uitstelling gevra en daar gebeur niks. Totdat ek oorgegaan het na die legal aid, want ouma het later geldjies gehad om te betaal, maar toe kan sy nie meer betaal nie, want sy is raad op. Alle goed is van haar geneem, buite op die straat gesit, sy is in 'n garage ingegooi wat vir haar onwoonbaar is deur die inspekteurs wat ek gevra het om te kom kyk na die plek of ouma in so 'n plek kan bewoon. Nou is ek vir hom 'n bedreiging. Toe het die polisie laat kom om vir my te verbied om van die plek af te kom. Ek mag glad nie by ouma kom nie, maar ek het vir hom gewys, ek gaan nog steeds elke dag om vir ouma te gaan versorg. Dan moet hy 'n interdik of 'n hofbevel van my kry om te sê, wat is die rede, hoekom mag ek daar by ouma kom nie? En dit is hoe ons kinders in die gemeenskap met ons bejaardes werk. Daar's soveel baie, by my oor die pad is 'n tannie, 'n blinde tannie wat vir jare agter in 'n hok sit. Sy kan nooit uitkom nie, sy moet daar vasgekles sit. 'n Ouma wat in 'n rolstoel sit met 'n klomp kleinkinders wat nie werk nie, wat indrom, kom vat en eet en maak soos hulle wil, want hulle mag nie praat nie. Ruite wat vir die winter nooit 'n ruit gewees het nie, daar's nog nooit 'n ruit ingesit nie. Die pykaarte lê by die moneylenders, toe gaan doen ek navraag. Toe hulle hoor ek is besig te bring hulle die pykaarte, maar die ouma het niks van die geld kan nie, want ouma het die geld het aan nou rente geloop, en ouma het niks uit die deel uit gekry. Toe gaan vra ek vir hulle, kan ek vir hulle help? Toe sê sy ja, maar die dogter wat op bejaard bly, wil toe nie hê, ouma moet vir my inroep, om vir hulle te help, om te kyk of hulle dan versorging kan kry, want hulle py vandag en môre kom soek hulle kos by my. Nie dat ek daaroor praat nie, maar dit is onregverdig teen ons bejaardes in ons gemeenskap, hoe dit hier bewoon word en wat gebeur in ons areas. Maar baie dankie vir julle wat oor het om te luister. Ek waardeer dit verskriklik baie. So ek is op die aanvraag nou met die prokureur wat die kleinseun het, en ons legal aid prokureur, ons gaan ons sit en ons gaan hierdie goed op, maar ek kan daai hele pakkie vat en vir hulle gaan neersit en sê dit is wat van ons verwag word van die regering vir ons bejaarde mense.
Okay, baie dankie ma. Mami, hallo ma, support jy die bill of support jy nie die bill nie? Kan jy net... Oh, sy support the bill. Okay, mevrou. Hallo ma, mevrou. Okay, ons vra net jou naam en jou van, dan word jy...
Nee, sê dit hier op die mic.
Ja, sê net vir jou naam en die van, dan moet ons seker maak, ons verwys jou na een van die social workers.
Ek is Christine Victor, ek is van Wellington. Ek verteenwoordig in die Wilgerboom en ek wyk ons wyk 7 en dit is die wat vir ons daar akkommodasie gee.
Okay. Nee, jammer ons lag soos jy praat. Nou ek praat met my kollega hier.
Nee,
as jy sê jy is van Wellington af, ek dink jy sê jy is van Warrington. So dis hoekom lag ons.
Van Wellington.
Okay, jammer mevrou.
Okay.
Baie dankie. Ons verwys u ook na die social workers toe en ook die chief director van die department van social development. Daar sê daar so. Sy het sy hand op.
Good morning to everyone. I want to thank everyone.
Okay, before we go to that, Civil, do you want to respond or what? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's what they are going to do now. We're interpreting now. No, I don't think we are following Civil. She is going to interpret now. The lady spoke Afrikaans, so we are going to interpret now in terms of English and oh, you are Xhosa, eh? Oh, okay. No, you are right. I think Civil is right. But the Xhosa interpreter who was here earlier on is here. Mami, can we interpret in English and then we also interpret in Xhosa so that everybody can hear? Thank you, Civil. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. I would like to thank you for taking time to coming to us at our communities this morning. My name is Christine Victor and I'm coming from Wellington. My thing is that we've got the children. Children in our communities are not working. Citizens must suffer. And there's an incident that happened in Wellington where an elderly person is being abused by his grandson. 3 years, this case has been going on running for 3 years where this senior citizen is being abused by his grandson. He does whatever he wants with his grandmother's pension money, and the grand must just sit and listen to what the grandson is saying. It is not fair, and that this is being done to this elderly person. I went to court, and I went also to the social worker, where the social worker said to me that this has to be I must lay a case in court, and this case must appear in court. How must the elderly person be treated, and how must the elderly be treated in this manner in the meantime? The grandson has also sent the police, because I am now a threat to the grandson, and he has called the police upon me, and I've told the police that I'm not going to stop coming to support the grandmother, because she needs my support. The elderly person that sits in a wheelchair who has to be treated like this is very unfair. That is what I told the police. The senior citizen's money and the card has been taken to the loan sharks. I inquired about this to the senior citizen, and she said that she does not know anything about that. She gets paid but asked for food for me the following day. This is uncalled for and is very unfair. I thank you.
Thank you.
Ndicela ubulisa kuwo wonke umuntu olapha namhlanje. Igama lami nguChristina Vika, ndisoka ke ngoko eWellington. Ndicela ukuthi ke ngoko enkosi ngokuba nithathe ixesha into bana nize apha kulapha ke ku-community yethu nizothetha nathi. Apha ke ngoko kukho kudala apha kukho umntana umuntu omdala ebendisebenza naye. Apha ke ngoko othe yena uhlukunyezwa ngumntana wakhe ke ngoko uzukulwana wakhe omncinci. Lona ke ngolo mzukulwana wakhe nguye ke lo mntwana ekuthe kwenzeka icase yona kudala ihamba ke ngoko iminyaka emithathu. Apha ke ngoko lo mama uthi waphathwa gadalala okanye ehlukunyezwa ngulona umntana. Lona mntana wenza nantoni na afuna ukuyenza kulona kumakhulu wakhe, kwaye ke umakhulu akakho nto akanokwazi ukuyithetha. Ndiye ndahamba ndayothetha kwakunye ne-social worker unontlalontle, apho unontlalontle ndamchazela ke ngoku malungana ke nale meko yalo mama okanye lo mama omdala ophethwe gadalala kanjena ngumntana wakhe. Ingxelo endayifumanayo ku-social worker lena ithi social worker into bana yona funeka ngoku mna ndiyobeka ityala enkundleni. Apha ke ngoku xa ityala lithe libekwa pha enkundleni kuzovelwa khona. Umbuzo wami ke into bana umntu omdala kutheni yena ezofuneka ephathwe gadalala ngeli hlobo. Ngoku ndibona into bana mna ndiyamgrogrisa lona umntana ngoba uthe wabiza amapolisa. Ndatsho napha emapoliseni into bana mna andizuyeka ke ngoku ukumxhasa lona umama ke ngoku kuye kwakufumaniseka into bana ikhadi likamama kwakunye lahlala phana kwi-loan sharks. I-loan sharks ezindinayibuza into bana ingaba uyayazi malungana ikhadi lakhe lihlala naphayana. Luthi ke ngoku umama into bana yena akwazi into ngekhadi lakhe elihlala phayana koomatshonisa. Kulapho ke ngoku mna ndiye ndafuna ke nawefumana enye ingxelo. Yonke ke lena into ayindiphathe kakuhle ngoba bona uthi efumana imali yakhe yesondlo ngengomso aphinde azocela ukutya kwalapha kum.
Thank you. We will now move to note the hands on my right hand side. Can we just note the hands of those that wants to speak? Okay, I will just note them first, and then we allow the director to respond. Okay, there's a hand here in front, number 1, ma'am. You can come this side to And then the second hand is there at the back. The row before the back, ma'am, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those hands, you can move to the side. We've got, I think, about 6 hands. Okay, whilst they are coming, can we hand over to the director just to respond on the issues of service delivery, the indigents, the cutting off the electricity and all of that. Can we get some silence there at the back, please? It's noisy there. Please, can we get some silence there? Please, please. Over to you, Director. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson. Before I respond, just allow me 2 things. One, to welcome my ex-principal, Mr. Yapi Charles, who is on the right-hand side. He's also now an older person. And secondly, if I answer the question, may I just give an input from the Cape Wildlands, because I was sitting on that side to come this side. First of all, I'm working for the Cape Wildlands District Municipality, so we, in terms of the Constitution, are Category C municipality. In other words, we do not have ratepayers. The ratepayers is with a local municipality, in this case is Drakensberg municipality. So what I've done, I've taken all my particulars, and I've handed it over to Mr. Benjamin, who was sitting over here, so it is there. It contains my name, address, telephone contact details, etc. So I will now take that details from the lady that spoke, and I will forward it to the city manager of the Drakensberg municipality, Dr. Leibrad Brand. He will address it because it is a function of local government, not a function of us, but I will also take that particulars forward to my municipal manager, Henry Prince, and to my executive director, Dr. Elna von Slieg. So we will address it on that way. Okay? Now, in terms of my input, from the Cape Wildlands side, I would like to confirm that we support the bill. It starts off there. We welcome the institutional arrangements, and we welcome also the fact that there is an oversight committee. If a caregiver is not registered, there's a process to be followed. We welcome that, and we said that this process took a long time. Now, in terms of the details, the clauses, I am very confident that they address what we do as a district municipality. We create an environment where we look at how you can enjoy life, how you can look after your care, because from our side, we have 2 things that we do in terms of fire services. We do the compliance of the building. And then in terms of the municipal health side, we do the compliance in terms of whether the restaurant and the food it is eaten. And we also have formed a relationship with the Department of Social Development. We call it the Cape Wildlands District Liaison Committee. And on that committee is representatives from the Department of Social Development, the local municipality, the Department of Labour, serves on that committee, and the Department of Health. And every quarter, we address, amongst other, the issues and the challenges that has to do with old age people as well as with the youth. So, if with your permission, from the Cape Wildlands side, yes, we do support the bill, and we welcome the clauses that makes provision for the areas that is concerned and that we are dealing with. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Feedback is actually appreciated. But what we just need to say, what we just need to request from your side is that you must interact with the parliamentary staff. So the feedback and interventions that we are going to do with the local municipality, so that we can also know how far that issue has been resolved and all of that. We'll really appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
So if you can follow.
Yeah, I've given the particulars to them.
Okay.
And I will also follow up because my email is there and my cell phone is there. I'll pick it up whenever they call, and I will then also address this internally without the personnel. So that is one of the outcomes that come from the hearing today.
Thank you, sir.
Chairperson.
Thank you, sir.
Chairperson, the witness, I just want to place on record, the witness did give me the address of his cell numbers and his address, work address, and his manager, and I've given it over to the ladies over that side. I've given it as it is written down. Thank you.
Can we get the next member, please? Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks so much, and thank you for the opportunity to the honourable members of Parliament that are here, parliamentary staff, and to everybody that's here that's shown some interest. My name is Karen Barakovitz, and I represent an organization that I founded called Dementia South Africa. I'm also representing, as an executive organization, Sank House, which is an independent house caring for 7 elderly people. And I also cared for a mother who lived with Alzheimer's disease for 21 years. That's why I founded the organization Dementia SA. We've been part of this organization and the bill when it was still in its very early stages in the early 1990s. So it's wonderful to see that we've now been able to implement some parts of the bill, and it's now in a process of amendment. We recall presenting to the Standing Committee at that particular time of the Human Rights Commission when it was still a bill, and certainly it's a momentous occasion for us to be presenting today too. I just would like to see certain things, that there's far more emphasis on education and the broader society on a social conscience of aging, the value of our elder persons, the importance of treating them the way that they should be treated. Speaking about the Act and speaking about the abuse and consequences, we're not seeing any of these abuse cases going to court and being properly summoned and being properly dealt with. So we're not seeing any results. And I think that that's why abuse gets perpetuated. And I think it's also about the language that we use around older persons. We speak about incontinence products, which are used for older persons. We speak about nappies. Nappies are for children. Nappies are for babies. They're not for older persons. We must call them by incontinence products. They're not nappies. They don't perform, they're not something for a child. So I think it's also a conscientizing around the type of language that we use in older persons and the challenges that older persons have to deal with. The one thing that I want to know is that this amendment bill doesn't make any provision for statutory abuse. And by statutory abuse, I mean service providers that are under the auspices or under the umbrella of national government, for instance, organs like, for instance, SASSA. There's no accountability of SASSA when payments to older persons of their older person grants are late. It's not properly communicated. We've heard the struggles that older persons deal with in transport, in availability to get to these places, mobility issues, etc. And all of a sudden they run out of cash. There's no more money left. You know, how do these older persons get back to where they live and then to go back again and back home again on that day to get what is supposed to be there? You know, that is statutory abuse. It's not mentioned in any of the notes, which I'd really like to bring up in that area. In terms of abuse, let's talk about the interdepartmental cooperation and accountability. The Department of Health specifically is responsible for certain medications, and they're responsible for the incontinence products. Incontinence products throughout the country are a huge problem. They do not receive, we do not get them at the clinics, we don't get them at the district hospitals, and it's almost that it's like a sacred cow, that there's like a shroud of secrecy as to how people can get hold of these incontinence products. I also would like to just, in areas where it is, it's appropriate, in the bill that we refer not only to the rights, but we refer to the human rights. We're talking about humans here. We're talking about human beings. Let's call it out to it being as human beings. In terms of some of the definitions, we talk about the amendment has been made to the word caregivers. And it says that it's whether community-based care facility, residential care facility, or a similar facility. Many people, hundreds of thousands of South Africans take care of their loved ones at home. They're not in any facility. There's no, we need to make provision for those people who are also cared for in the home and the family structure. We also need to make sure that there is, when we speak about the training of caregivers, that we call it exactly that. What type of training is required for a caregiver? What is it registered? Who does it need to be registered by? Where is the register? Where is it located? Those kinds of practical questions around that. We speak in section 3 on page 4. We speak about stakeholders extensively. So A, B, and C all refer to stakeholders. Now, for the understanding, we saw the role of stakeholders in the Life Isidimeni tragedy. We saw that the Department of Health in Gauteng had diluted their responsibility to stakeholders. 114 people died. 1,400 families were displaced as a result of that. It's unacceptable that nothing since 2016 has been done to hold this particular government department provincially accountable for it. It's coming to court now in October, at the end of November. But I think that in terms of stakeholders, when somebody becomes a stakeholder, what are those responsibilities? Who's going to empower them? Who's going to supervise those stakeholders? Where does the accountability lie? And you know, the pay parity must also be discussed. One last point is that the census, from what I understand, did not take count of people that lived in residential care facilities. Now, whilst the census visited various homes, houses, residential houses where people live in the community, they did not visit older persons' facilities. So, in terms of the information that we got, we weren't able to find how many people are disabled, how many people live with dementia in these facilities, and that is what makes the availability.
So just a second.
Sure.
We are listening attentively to your submission,
Yes.
but there's a lot of noise here at the back, which makes it difficult for us. Siyacela abantu abadala, ons senior citizens, ons ouer mense, ons vra asseblief tog. Kom ons luister, want die geraas is nou te baie, ons kan nie weer mooi hoor nie. So we are asking very nicely, the noise levels are very high. Please respect the person on the podium because she also listened to you. So let's listen to each other. Please, can you proceed, ma'am? Thanks.
Thank you very much. So in conclusion to that particular point is that when it comes to the allocation of funds and resources and services, we don't have a clear picture of exactly how those resources need to be spent. Finally, I would like to support each and salute each and every person that works in their community for the betterment and the improvement of the lives of older people. Those are our unsung heroes, and I applaud each and every one of them. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you please submit your submission to the table then?
Yes, I will. I've
Thank
got
you,
the
ma'am.
email address and I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for the
much, ma'am.
opportunity.
Thank you. Can you allow the interpreter as well? Interpreter, thank you.
Okay. Molweni nonke, ndiyalibulela kakhulu ithuba lokuba ndibe lapha namhlanje ndibabulisa amalungu asepalamente naye wonke umuntu okhoyo. Igama lam ndinguKarl, ndimele iSankas. Ndingumntu ke okhathalela umntu ongumama omdala onesifo sengqondo. Ndibe yinxalenye yeke imithetho esayilwayo ukusukela ngeminyaka pha ko-1980 uya ku-1990. Ndiyavuya uba ndiseyinxalenye nanamhlanje ekufakweni nasekugqithisweni eminye yale mithetho. Ndingathanda ke ukugxininisa kwindaba yemfundo kwakunye nendima edlalwa ngabantu abadala kwindawo esiphila kuyo. Xa ndijonga le mithetho ilapha siyayibona ithetha ngokuhlukunyezwa kwabantu abadala kodwa kwakunye nemiphumela yako oko, kodwa asiyiboni imiphumela ibonakala ncam uba abahlukumezayo benziwa ntoni. Yiyo loo nto ke ukuhlukumeza kwabantu abadala kuye kuqhubeka kubheka phambili. Kwakhona ndifuna ukuthetha ngolwimi olusetyenziswayo. Xa kuthethwa ngezinto ezisetyenziswa abantu abadala kuthethwa ngenephi okanye inapkin, kanti inapkin yinto enxitywa ngumntwana hayi enxitywa ngabantu abadala. Besinosebenzisa amanye amagama ngoba ezinye iingxaki ziqala apho. Kwakhona ndibona i-abuse ethile ikhona. Umzekelo endizawuza nawo ngulowa kwaSASSA oba abantu abadala imali zabo ngamanye amaxesha azingeni nokungena ekhadini labo. Umntu omdala ahambe ojika kwaSASSA kube kungekho ntetho ithe yagqithiswa kubantu abadala. Sifuneka siqaphele ukuba akukho nezithuthi ezikhoyo okanye itransport zokuthatha abantu abadala zibase kwindawo yokufumana imali. Umntu uza kwenza ityala, xa efika pha imali yakhe ayikho, sithi makaphinde agoduke njani ke ukubheka endlini. Kwakhona ke icandelo lezempilo xa sithetha nge-abuse okanye ukuhlukumezeka funeka silijonge kwenzela lithathe inxaxheba ngokuzisa amayeza kwiikliniki zabantu abadala. Kwakhona apho kuthethwa khona ngamalungelo, ayingomalungelo nje la sithetha ngawo kodwa ngamalungelo abantu. Kufuneka ke iinkcazelo ezithile sicacise ngazo. Umzekelo lo ukuba ibe lilungelo lomntu ekuthethwa ngalo. Kukhona ke abantu ngohlobo kuchazwe ngalo inkcazelo kuthethwa ngabantu abazi-caregivers, kodwa kukhona abantu ababekelwe bucala, abantu abakhathalela abantu ababathandayo emakhayeni abo. Ndiyacela ke ukuba kubonakale pha kulungiso lwebill uba kuthethwa ukuthini, kungathethwa nje kuphela ngee-facilities ngabo bakhathala bekumaziko athile kodwa kubhekiselwe nakwabo bakhathalela besendlini. Enye umthetho obekweyo apha kwibill qeqeshwa kwabantu abazi-caregivers okanye abakhathaleli kwabantu abadala. Makugxininiswe ngokucacileyo ukuba kuloluphi oluhlobo lwe-training okanye lokuqeqeshwa kwaba bantu. Siphinde sijonge pha kuphepha lesine page 4 kuthethwa ngezi-stakeholders, u-A, B and C zonke zithetha ngezi-stakeholders kodwa azicacisanga. Umzekelo abantu besebe lezempilo abathandi xanduva ngokupheleleyo ngoba kusweleke abantu abangapha ku-114 ukusukela ngo-2016 akabikho nto ithe yenziwa ke ukulungiswa le nto. Yile nto kufuneka kunikwe uxanduva kwii-stakeholders zithi zixhotyiswe uba ziza kwenza kanjani. Kwakhona indaba yokubhatala abantu mayithethwe kakuhle. Okokugqibela, ngela xesha lenkonzo yokubala abantu u-census akhange babalwe abantu abakwi-residential facilities. Ngoko ke abo bantu khange bavizitelwe. Ngoko asiyazi ke ngokubana ii-funds okanye ukubekwa kwemali kwakunye nee-resources ziyakusetyenziswa ngoluphi uhlobo. Okokugqibela xa ndivala ndifuna ukuthi ndiyayixhasa ibill, ndiyabaxhasa abantu abakhoyo apha abanceda nabasebenzisana nabo bantu badala nababaxhasayo kwindawo abahlala kuzo. Enkosi.
Okay, thanks. The next member, please. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Elvira Kleinans, representing Cape Winelands Older Persons Forum, also delegate of the Western Cape Older Persons Forum and manager of Rostov Old Age Home Nepal. I became so agitated whilst I was sitting on the chair because although this is a public hearing, with regards to the amended older persons bill, I became worried because it's only the Department of Social Development that are present here and the older persons. And when it comes to older persons, it's not only social development. Please, it cannot be only social development. Otherwise, our relationship with our DSD people will become negatively influenced. We are so thankful to them, as we can proudly know them by name. When it comes to TPA, we know it's Gershwin and Liesel. And when I don't add your surname, it is not with disrespect. And when it comes to the big things, it's Debbie Fontaine, who nearly left us, but thanks God that she's still going on. And then we can go to National Chief Director and your team. You're so familiar to us. But we don't like you now, because we didn't have Golden Games this year. So what happened to active aging? So bear that in mind, you owe us. And for future, when it comes to older persons, please get all the departments present here. All of them. We don't care whether they've got a congress or whatever. Because thank you, Ryan van Wyk, for showing so much respect as Cape Winelands District Municipality. Even though the executive mayor is not here, she sent someone representing, and for us, that shows respect to older persons. Thank you for that, Ryan. And I think I can say it in your presence, that Cape Winelands will have a follow-up summit, ne Ryan, where all departments will be present to give us an update and feedback of the inputs of the last summit. You all hear that, Ryan? Okay. We fully support the amended bill. There are some questions. When it comes to the training of the caregivers, where will they be registered to after the training? Because they are not nurses. And there will automatically be expectations, because I need to be trained to work in an old age home or even with older persons in the community. And that means you have to open your purse. When it comes to home-based care, and it's so sad that Department of Health is not here. If they are here, I don't know them. And we want to know what that service entails when it comes to older persons. We want to know that. Because in most cases, they are not visible. And when there are problems identified in the community, the social worker used to come either to the old age homes, to other social workers. And then the service centers and the clubs. I think COVID was an eye-opener to make us realize that older persons become older and they become frail. They still want to be part of the clubs and service centers. And there is definitely a need at each club and service centers to have a carer. And really a carer that are also being trained. Because the older person can look well when he enters that club and service center, and the next moment he's no longer there. And then we expect all clubs or service centers that work for older persons to be registered. It is really important that they need to be registered. I know it's by a PT, it's fine. But when you work to older persons, somebody needs to monitor the services that are rendered there. When it comes to the norms and standards for centers, please bear in mind, service centers and clubs are hiring walls from churches and schools because most of them don't have their own facility. And maybe if the municipalities do have facilities, that they make it available for older persons. And then the clubs and service centers cannot be passed because of certain norms and standards that cannot be met. When it comes to the Department of Health, cannot there be a fast line for older persons? So that older persons cannot sit so long at clinics, specifically when it comes to their chronic appointments. Services were rendered, we went to their homes so that they don't have to come to the clinics, and that contract was stopped. And if they have budget cuts, they don't care a damn when it comes to services that they have to render to NGOs. And I don't want to sing that song again with regards to diapers. But I hope, as from the Parliament side, you will make sure that the Department of Health provide adult diapers to residential facilities. And when we've heard about abuse cases, we heard about older persons that are kept at their homes for the sake of their money and because they are the homeowner. But because the waiting list of residential facilities are so long, and some residential facilities are excluding our people due to their cost that is not affordable to the Sasakran people. I thank you.
Mrs. Kleiners, mevrouw Kleiners, kom bietjie vorentoe. Ons nodig daai inligting wat jy nou gepraat het van. Ons nodig dat eers so. No, I just wanted to say the contribution, the notes, I mean your submission, will request you to take it to the table there. But one of the issues that you are raising as part of your submission is also one of the gaps identified as part of the implementation of the bill. This thing of lack of coordination between government departments, you know. So the point we are raising that it's not only Department of Social Development that is supposed to be here. We agree with you on that one. And it's also here as part of, that's the reason why we are here. And all over where we have went, we are also struggling with that. But it's something that we must be able to address seated here as Parliament moving forward. The Premier's office was supposed to be here. Department of Health was supposed to be here. The municipality is here, but it's a district. When issues are coming up, then the gentleman says, no, I'm from category C municipality, the rates are not paid to us and all of that, you know. We understand. But what we are saying, the local municipality also of the area was supposed to have been here. So the point you are raising is very important and we agree with it. Thank you so much, ma'am. Can you move to submit
I forgot to thank you for coming to Paul.
Okay.
Is it because Paul has got 3 Springboks in the world team? But just to add to that concern, I think we were too nice to all of them in the past. But
not now.
No way, Snake.
No, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Can we get the interpreter, then we move to the next speaker, please? Thanks. The interpreter.
Usuka ke Cape Wildlands kwi forum ujongene nemfuno zabadala nesebe lezenhlalonhle ujongene nemeko ezibandongileyo uyabona uba likho iqela likazwelonke elikhoyo apha uthi babaqheli ufuneka izibonelelo zibekho nyaka khange zenzeke ezi zinto kulo nyaka kuye kwasilelwa kwasalelwa ngasemva onke amasebe mawabekho ngalo lonke ixesha. Uyayibulela into yokuba usodolophu noxa ebengekho umthumele okayena ukuba amele. Sithe Nkosi kuye siyambulela onke amasebe ngalo lonke ixesha sifuna abekho. Siyaxhasa noxa imibuzo ikhona. Soqeqeshelwa phina sisebenze nabantu abadala sijongane nabo. Isebe lempilo alikho. Kuyakhalazwa kakhulu ngalo elo sebe ungabonakali. Mhlalontle uncomakile ukhona uyabonakala. Imfuno zabadala ziyaqwalaselwa, maziqwalaselwe ngokufanelekileyo. Onke amasebe ajongene nabadala kufuneka abonelelwe. Ezicaweni nasezikolweni makubonelelwe. Mhlawumbi umasipala naye unazo izibonelelo ngoku zabadala. Isebe lempilo malibonakale nalo liqwalasele imfuno zabantu abadala. Bangahlali bengahoyekanga. Abazihoyi imfuno zabantu abadala. Manibulele iparlamente kuba iphumile ncede abantu kwimfuno zabo. Uluhlu lude lwabahlali neendleko zesebe icandelo lemali zabadala isasa ziyabonakala. Enkosi mhlali ngaphambili.
Enkosi Tata. The next speaker, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to the committee. Ons ondersteun die wetsontwerp, maar ons het geweldige uitdagings. My naam is Gertrude Oktober, Stellenbosch Vereniging vir Bejaardes, huis Ebenezer. Ons was eers 'n ouer huis, huidiglik as gevolg van staatssubsidiering is ons nou frail care. Nou, omdat ons nou frail care is, sit ons met geweldige uitdagings. En hier wil ek vir mevrou Kleinhan sê, baie dankie dat u genoem het, where is the Department of Health? Because soos u weet tevore, was ons verpleegkundiges en staff nurses was betaal deur Department of Health. Huidiglik het ons 'n dilemma. Jy kry nie RNs. Ons moet met afgetrede dames, ek sê nie hulle is swak nie, hulle is in staat, as gevolg van ons kan nie kompeteer met private instansies en hospitale om hierdie mense die salaris aan te bied wat hulle verdien, want dit is bittere harde werk. Ek kan vir u sê, frail care is nie 'n grap, dit is 'n ernstige situasie om te hanteer. En ek voel hierdie mense moet met die nodige respek en liefde hanteer word. So asseblief, ek wil vra die komitee Department of Health, as dit weer kan wees soos tevore, waar verpleegkundiges ten minste die staat moet hulle betaal. Want ek sien nie hoe hulle verskillend as ander verpleegkundiges nie. Okay? Dan wil ek ook, ek wil nie te lang praat nie, want ek weet almal is al moeg. Ek sal maar verdere kommentaar ook aanstuur skriftelik. Ek wil ook tog net noem wat die ander dame genoem het oor load shedding. Load shedding is 'n dilemma. Want ons het iets wat vir die afgelope oor die 40 jaar bestaan hierdie huis, geen inbrake gehad het. Due to load shedding, we had 2 burglaries. And our elderly are terrified. This meant that we had to get additional security, addisionele kostes. Nou sê vir my, gaan die staat vir ons meer geld gee vir hierdie sekuriteit om ons bejaardes te beskerm? Ek wonder maar net. En die ander storie is, as daar sekere instansies is wat gevrywaar word van load shedding, why is it that our frail care centers should not be, hulle moet nie load shedding hê nie. Iets moet gedoen word, daar moet altyd lig wees. Ons bejaardes kan val. En wat ons ook opgetel het, ons bejaardes, daar het gevalle van abuse plaasgevind, deur carers, gedurende load shedding. En dit is vir ons direksie 'n ernstige probleem. Want ons kameras kan nie sien wat gedurende load shedding gebeur nie. Dan daardie punt wat u noem hierso, van lack of legal provision for training of caregivers. Asseblief mense, dit moet aangespreek word. We need training, we need caregivers, we need nursing staff. Thank you so much, committee. There's a lot of other things on my heart, maar tot hier toe, ek sal verder skryf. God seën u almal en alles wat mooi is vir u.
Dankie mevrou. Translation please, and then we'll also request mevrou Oktober, bring jou a submission by die tafel asseblief. Dankie.
Sorry.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Gertrude October and I'm in support of the bill. I come from Stellenbosch and I come from an organization called Frail Care. I would like to say thank you to Ms. Kleinans who stood here before when she said that where is the Department of Health? I can't compare the salaries of these, the caregivers compared to the salaries of what the Department of Health. These people are to be treated, the elderly people are to be treated with love and respect. And there's also an incident where regarding the foster children. Also, the second inquiry that I have is regarding load shedding. Regarding load shedding, which is a major problem, because for the 40 years of this establishment or this business has been operating, we have never had an incident where we had 2 house breakings. So this means that we had incurred additional costs in terms of tightening our security. Because if there are institutions that are exempted from load shedding, why doesn't the elderly homes also be, or frail care also be included? Lastly, I would like to say we need the training, we need support, and I would like to thank everyone and for you for coming today. Igama lam molweni kuwo wonke umuntu okhoyo, igama lam Gertrude October, ndisuka eStellenbosch pha kulanda ukuthiwa iFrail Care, kule organization kuthiwa iFrail Care. Ndicela ukucela ukuthi enkosi kakhulu kuMiss Kleinhans lo besandosuka apho ebeke wabeka yena into ethi intobana umbuzo othi ingaba iphi ke ngoku uDepartment of Health ngoba yena akabonakali apha. Kwaye ke enye into ke endifuna ukuyibeka apha ngaphambili ke ingxaki ezikhoyo into kubana kwabantu ke ngoba abazi caregivers okanye aba banakekela abantu abadala bona ke ngoku asikwazi ukuthi sibanike ke okanye imbuyekezo yabo okanye isalary zabo sikwazi uzithelekisa kwakunye nabantu abathe bona babhatala kuDepartment of Health. Bona ke ngoku aba bantu okanye aba bantu badala ngabo abo endisithi into bana bona befuneka bona indlela befuneka bephethwe ngayo, indlela befuneka bephethwe ngothando kwakunye nenhlonipho enkulu. Kwaye ke esinye ke ngxengxelo bendisicelile kubo into bana malungana ke nabantwana abafakwa kwi-foster care. Enye ke ingxaki endithanda velana nayo apha ingxaki eye-load shedding. I-load shedding lena eyingxaki enkulu kule 40 years esithe thina sahlala saqhuba ke ngoku kule business sikuyo malunga nonakekela abantu abadala, thina zange saba nengxaki ukuthi ukuthi into yobana uqhekezwe ke ngokuphayana kule organization kabini. Leyo into iyafuneka yanyanzeleka into yobana thina sikhuphe imali apha ezimpokothweni zethu ukwenzela into yobana sifumane ezinye izecurity. Leyo ke ngoku into ithi into yobana i-load shedding ingxaki esithe sajongana nayo kakhulu. Xa kunothi ke ngoku kubonakalisa into yobana zikhona ezinye institutions ezingakwaziyo ufumana i-load shedding ezingakwazi ufumana i-load shedding, kutheni ke ngoku aba bantu badala bona bangakwazi nabo malungana ke okanye indawo zizigcina abantu abadala okanye le freight train nabo ke ngoku bakwazi into yobana bafumane babe yingxenye yaba bantu abangacinyelwa ngumbane. Loo nto ithi ke ngoku bendicela into yobana kwa aba bantu babanakekelayo okanye bajonga abantu abadala ababizwa kuthiwa zii-caregivers, bendicela into yobana bona bafumane i-training kwaye ke bayadinga ke ngonesupport kwaye ke ndicela ukuthi enkosi kuwo wonke umntu okhoyo.
Enkosi mama, sibonga kakhulu. The next speaker please.
Close over. Goeiemôre almal, goeiemôre komiteelede. My naam is David Oktober. Ek is die maatskappy sekretaris van Stellenbosch Vereniging van Bejaardes, Huis Ebenezer. Ons ondersteun hierdie wetsontwerp. Ek wil graag kommentaar lewer op die paragraaf 3.8, clausule 8 wat noem clausule 8 stel die wysiging van artikel 13 van die Hoofwet voor. Die voorgestelde wysiging maak voorsiening dat slegs 'n regspersoon of 'n trust mag word om gemeenskapsgebaseerde sorg en ondersteuningsdienste aan ouer mense te verskaf. Dit is 'n groot ek weet nie wie van die ander organisasies hier in hierdie gehoor maatskappye is of 'n trust is wat ouerhuise bestuur nie. Ons is wel 'n nie winsgewende maatskappy en my hoofdoel is om na die finansiële compliance van die ouerhuis om te sien. Die regspersoon is 'n maatskappy word deur 'n raad van direkteure bestuur en die maatskappywet stel die regulasies hoe om daardie maatskappy te bestuur. So hierdie wetgewing moet saamgelees raak met die maatskappywet en die trust met die Trust Property Control Act kom hier van toepassing. So dit wil sê die regulasies van daardie wetgewing moet ook gelees word met hierdie wetgewing. Die kostes verbonde aan 'n maatskappy net om compliant te wees is daar moet jaarlikse audit gedoen raak op die finansiële rekords. Dit kos om by R70,000 as die audit fooi. Daar moet rekeningkundige dienste betaal word. Dit is ongeveer R10,000 'n maand, so R120,000 per jaar. Dit dra alles by die kostes van daardie organisasie. Ek weet nie, mevrou Kleinhans het gepraat van dienssentrums en senior clubs. Hierdie clubs en hierdie dienssentrums sal ook moet geregistreer raak in 'n vorm van 'n maatskappy of in 'n trust wat addisionele administratiewe kostes gaan meebring. Dit het 'n groot impak op die mense wat maatskaplike dienste in die gemeenskap gaan gee. Dit wil sê die dienssentrums en die senior clubs is nie eintlik 'n wettige organisasie om daardie dienste aan die ouer gemeenskap te gee nie. Nog 'n punt is dat die kostes van 'n bejaarde persoon te onderhou in 'n vryheidscare senter soos Huis Ebenezer. By ons laaste geauditeerde finansiële staat is die eenkoste per persoon R9,000. Die geld wat ons kry van ons mense wat aansoek doen, is die SASSA pension van 2100, die subsidie van 3451, dit gee vir ons 5551. Die tekort is gemiddeld 3500 rand. Nou die families moet hierdie 3500 rand bydra as hulle ouma of hulle oupa wil toelaat om by ons ouerhuis moet gee. Nog 'n ding, ek is al 40 jaar betrokke by Ebenezer. Ek was 32 jaar oud toe ek op die bestuur gekom het. Ek is 73, ek werk nog altyd daar. Die kostes kan nie die families nie bydra nie. Ons was 40 jaar gelede geregistreer vir 132 mense. Dit het afgekom na 109 'n paar jaar terug. Ons is nou op 88. Inwoners kan subsidie kry by ons ouerhuis. So Larry die getalle daal, so styg die kostes per persoon. Want ons het so baie compliance wat ons moet doen. Dit is 'n brandweersertifikaat. Dit is 'n electrical compliance certificate. Dit is 'n health and safety certificate. Dit is die kombuis, die gesondheidssertificaat. Almal daardie sertifikate kos geld wat ons na DSD moet stuur elke jaar, net om compliant te wees, anders gaan ons nie subsidie kry nie. So die kostes om hierdie organisasie te bestuur is nie meer 'n grap nie. Dit is 'n groot implikasie vir bejaardesorg en gemeenskappe, hierdie artikel. Ek hoop die mense luister. Die ander klousule wat ek oor praat is klousule oor elderly abuse. Maar vir Oktober is gepraat. Kan maar praat? Oké. Dit is paragraaf 3.16 is oor mishandeling van bejaardes. Mevrou Oktober het genoem van load shedding, hoe bejaardes mishandel word gedurende load shedding. Maar daar is ander gevalle waar jy iemand geïdentifiseer het om wie die mishandeling gedoen het en jy moet daardie persoon dissiplinêr aanspreek, dan is daar baie probleme. Want hierdie as jy nie die regte prosedures volg nie, dan kan hierdie persoon onskuldig bevind word. Want die unies, ek weet nie wat soek unies nog by ouerhuise nie. Die mense wat daar werk moet na bejaardes kyk. Hulle moet hulle ouer mense respekteer en hulle moet passie hê om na bejaardes om te sien. Maar baie van ons mense wat ek oor die 40 jaar ondervind het, is dat hulle vat maar net die werk omdat dit 'n werk is. Hulle het nie die passie nie, die passie is uit die werk uit. So daar gebeur abuse in die ouerhuise. En ons het nou 'n paar gevalle van abuse wat ons nou dissiplinêr aanspreek. Ons het nou een ontslaan weens daardie abuse. Ons sit nou met die ander een wat ons nou met waar ons hier besig is. Want hierdie versorgers wat daar werk, hulle kry opleiding, stel hulle aan as werkers daar en dan Maar daar is 'n etiese kode of 'n organisasie wat jy kan klagtes lê teen een van hulle wat oortree het nie. So daar moet gekyk na dat alle versorgers onder 'n organisasie is wat etiese kodes hanteer namens die professie. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie. So, Mr. October, one of our advocates is also here with us. So in terms of your submission, we'll request Advocate Tim Chochisa is sitting there at the back there, so that we can have a conversation with him. And then we'll also, yeah. Thank you so much. The next speaker, please. We're moving fast now. We've got only 3 speakers left. And then we'll be closing because we understand that our elderly people, you can't sit for a long time without eating. And then some of them, they had to drive in the morning to come and sit here. So we need to wrap up now. So our 3 last speakers, please, let's be straight to the point and then we wrap up. Thank you so much. Oh, okay, no, they didn't hear. Sorry, ma'am, just a second, I made a mistake. The interpreter, in terms of the vernacular language, so that our parliamentary staff can capture properly what was said by the previous speaker. Over to you, sir.
The witness that is David October. He's the secretary in his organization. He supports the bill. He has stressed particularly for consideration on section 13, which considers we must look after the interests of the people, particularly the elderly people. He stresses that this act should also provide for these means. He has quoted a company that and the financial records of the company that cost at some stage more or less 37,000 rand, and great expenses were incurred, and he referred to what has been said by a previous speaker here, Mrs. Kleinhans, and he said we should consider that these factors should be registered, will have a high cost to the community. It is not easy a cost for the elderly persons to consider, because this ranges in the range of about 9,000 rand or even higher. And he has referred that the people are depending on the SASSA income and disability incomes, the family to support more. And he had been involved for more or less 40 years. He started this at an early age, and the costs were unbearable. He referred to the kitchens and the health certificates costly, and costs are no longer a play for one. They are very high. We consider also the issue of the abuse that is taking place in this, and the paragraph that he quoted, that the mishandling of persons of old age and disciplinary measures that follows, that should be done to correct the procedures and to follow those that found to be guilty. And the unions are no longer looking after the interests of the people. They simply accept the positions appointed to, but do not address abuse matters. We need to receive training. There is no code that controls this, and to lay charges against all those who are found to be offenders of this type of misconduct. I thank you then.
Thank you. I think we'll find the next speaker, please, ma'am. Over to you.
Goedemiddag allemaal. Ik is John Adams van Hermon. So 20 kilometers bij de kant Wellington. Ons zit met een baie groot probleem op Hermon. Ons heeft niet een kliniek daar nie. Ons moet van Hermon af, hike, Soetendaal toe, om bij de kliniek uit te komen. En baie van ons het nie geld om te betaal vir 'n vervoer nie. Die vervoer wat ons wel miskien kan kry, praat jou kliniek toe 100 tot 150 rand. En ons is ou mense, ons het nie geld nie. Baie van Herman se mense, seisoenwerkers, hulle werk nie seisoentye. Ons is afhanklik om lif te gaan soek, daar boot in die pad, het baie gevaarlik is. Ons wil vandag net 'n pleidooi, van u, is dat nie 'n moontlikheid dat daar 'n kliniek op Herman kan kom nie. Die busie kom 2 keer 'n maand op Herman, op 'n donderdag. Die eerste donderdag sal hy miskien nog bring, die mense se pille wat kroniese siektes het. Die tweede donderdag, die volgende donderdag sal hy weer bring, kom vir kinders wat met inspuitings kry of so. Maar dwaas 3 maand moet die mense Soetendaal toe gaan hike vir medikasie en sulke goed. Ons vra vandag vir u of daar dan nie in u harte sal vind om 'n uitweg te kry vir Herman, veral vir die bejaardes, om hulle by die kliniek te kry. Hulle het afsprake maandag vir die dokter. Nou daar is miskien 10 mense wat vir heel dokter moet sien. Nou het daar, die maandag is het ek, die maandag is het sy. Miskien kan hulle miskien die afsprake maak vir al die mense wat op een dag, miskien op 'n maandag gaan, dan sal die onkoste miskien minder wees as ons vervoer gaan vra. Maar nou moet een persoon ry, vra iemand om te neem, dan moet hy persoon R150 betaal. En dan sit sy ook van die oggend tot die middag toe by die kliniek. Mis jy 'n datum, so byvoorbeeld 'n vrouwtjie van my gesê het, sy het gemis, die vorige dag moet sy by die kliniek gewees het vir bloedtrek. Toe gaan sy die volgende dag, en toe het hulle vir laat sit by die kliniek, van die oggend 7:30 tot die middag 1:00 toe, toe het hulle bloed getrek. En dis onaanvaarbaar, is verjaardes. Ons kan nie so aangaan nie. So ek vra vandag vir u, is daar 'n moontlikheid dat u vir Herman 'n bietjie kan help met 'n kliniek of met dalk met vervoer? Ek sê u baie dankie vir u tyd.
Thank you. Translation, please, interpreter. Both vernacular and English, quickly, just a summary. Thanks. Are you struggling? You want us to intervene?
Mevrouw, sorry, wat is mevrouw zijn naam, alsjeblieft? Ik heb nou niet mevrouw zijn naam gekregen, nie. Sorry, dank je. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Joan Adams and I'm coming from Hermoon. I'm in support with the bill. My only concern is that, that from Hermoon, we have to hike because there is no money for us to go to the clinic. So I would like, there's 2 things that I would like to bring forth. One is the suggestions, 2 I would like to bring forth, that we get a transport for people to be taken on the elderly people to be transported to the clinics. For example, the first Thursday, they are taking, at the clinics, they give you medication for the elderly people. On the second Thursday, it's child immunization. I would suggest that on the third one, they would actually utilize that for elderly people. And there's, I would like to utilize that, especially for the elderly people, as every Monday they have appointments with a doctor. So can't we, there's other suggestion that on a Monday, that transport be utilized for all the elderly people that would have to see the doctor on that Monday. so that it avoids people, the elderly people who have to walk or hike to the clinic. Because there was one instance where one of the elderly people that missed the appointment the previous day and the following day went to the clinic, she had to sit the entire day for her blood to be drawn. So that is not on. So I would like that assistance from the panel. Molweni, igama lam nguJoan Adams, ndisuka eHermon. Mna ke ndiyasichasa ke ibill. Into endizayibeka ke ngoku apha phakathi kwabantu into yobana thina apha pha eHermon into yobana funeka sihayikile into yobana masize elandukeni ekliniki. Umbono ke ngoku endiza naye into yobana thina pha eHermon kuba ekliniki kulosine wokuqala baye bathathe abantu abadala babanike ngoku iipilisi zabo. Kulesine lo wesibini baye bathathe ke ngokuba hoya abantwana abancinci. Kulesine lo wesithathu ke ngoku bese ucela into yobana bona bakwazi hoya abantu abadala. Kuba khona ke ngoku nexesha apho kuko abantu abadala bafuneka bedibene babene appointments kwakunye noogqirha ingakumbi ngemivulo. So ngoku uyacela into yobana ngemivulo lena aba bantu bayi-10 mhlawumbi ukwenza umzekelo bakwazi bona bana banikwe ke ngoku baxhaswe okanye ngetransport bakwazi ukuya bonke ingabi ngumntu omnye oya phayana nge-50 rand ukuya etransport. So besicela thina pha eHermon kube khona ke ngoku itransport for abantu abadala ngoba aba bantu bafuneka abantu abadala bafuneka bona behayikile ukuya phayana ekliniki. Kwaye ke kubeka khona ityeli apho ke ngoku omnye umuntu omdala uye akakwazi ukuya ekliniki ngosuku ngalaa suku bebeke into abafuneka ekliniki adibane nogqirha. Yena wathi ukuya kwakhe ngosuku elandelayo kwafuneka yena ahlale imini yonke phayana ekliniki into yobana afumane uncedo kugqirha. So uyacela ke ngoku isicelo sam apha into yobana besicela thina itransport apha for abantu abadala.
Enkosi ma. The next speaker.
Closer. Very close. Okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson, and the committee. My name is Kanyile, my surname is Klaas. I am coming from Ashton, from an old age home called Lingelihle Old Age Home. We support the bill, but there are matters that we want to register with you. Firstly, I want to address the issue of there is no one from other departments here. I strongly believe that there is a legislation in South Africa which addresses the issues of that nature. We call that legislation an intergovernmental relations. We need to use it very, very strongly so that we can be able to keep accountable those who are running away from the meetings of this importance. Chairperson, I do not know whether that the bill raised very seriously the matter of coordination pertaining to the repercussions of abuse. The old age home where I come from, the abuse was not only done by caregivers, it was done by the structure itself, which is your board. Because when the board fails to execute its own responsibilities and play an oversight in terms of the management of the institution, that can amount to an abuse. So I think the bill also must look at who should be part of the committee that must govern these kinds of institutions, because most of the time people go to be part of these institutions for the sake of getting an access to the purse of that institution. And sometimes they forgot about the responsibility that they have in terms of protecting the old people who are part of that, who are residing in that institution. So I wanted to highlight that matter also. The other issue is, which I think the bill need to, or you need as politicians in parliament to elaborate on, is the matter of those old or aged persons who are residing in farms, who sometimes becomes the victims of being evicted. So, what is the holistic approach? Whenever a family which is headed by a person who is 60 years old, what kind of an approach that we need to have as the persons who are sitting and administering the law? That is very much important, because especially in the Western Cape, evictions are a normal thing that is taking place. And in a process, vulnerable individuals like old people, they find themselves in those situations. Now I'm looking at, because the bill is very silent in terms of the holistic approach, one, and the interdepartmental arrangement in terms of dealing with those issues. I saw there is a definition of a facility manager now in the bill. But how do we professionalize that particular individual who is the manager? Because you cannot have a person who's having a grade 10 to be a manager of that magnitude institution. You need to understand the administration that is part of that position of being a manager. So I'm trying to say to the leadership, there are other issues that I wanted to raise, but due to time constraints, I'm looking for an email where I can make my submissions so that we started to look at other issues, very, very serious, which are not mentioned in the bill. But I must comment, because you must not praise people when they are dead. You must praise them while they are hearing you. There are ladies in the Western Cape Social Development Department who are very, very committed, who are moving an extra mile in terms of defending the aged people. And we must not be shy to tell them that we thank them very, very much for committing themselves without focusing on the salaries that they are getting on a monthly basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Babutlas, sizocela uye kule tafula ufake isubmission yakho. So siyabonga baba ne. Thank you so much. Can we translate, please, summarize translation, and then we take the last one.
Ndingutata ukhanyile class wase-Estin kulingelihle yabantu abadala, ndiyawuxhasa lo mbono welo mthetho uyilwayo. Ndiyawuxhasa lo mbono kukho izibonelelo ezenziwayo zokuqiniseka uba kuyaqhagamshelwana nabantu. Kufuneka sibonelele udlakazo oluqhubekayo udlakazo amalungelo abantu. Kufuneka sibonelele loo nto iyenzeka kwindawo yabantu abadala nebhodi ebidlakaza amalungelo. Xa kudlakazwa amalungelo ngubani omakawabonelele la maziko ukwenzela uninzi lwabantu bafuna inzuzo, bafuna imali, balibale ilungelo lokujonga amalungelo abantu abadala. Ndiyababulela abopolitiko abaze kujonga iimfuno zabantu abadala. Sele kuhamba amathuba amaninzi abantu babe badala, babe ngapha kweminyaka engama-60 ubudala, ingakumbi apha kule nqila yale ntshona koloni. Kufuneka kujonge kuyagxothwa abantu abadala kuthi cwaka bangabonelelwa ngezibonelelo zabo ngokufanelekileyo. Khona umanejala waye awunawulunga uba ngumanejala unebanga ugrade 10 kuphela. Kufuneka noko kubekho izibonelelo zoba imfundo igqithiswe ibe ngentla ngaphezulu kunoku. Enkosi.
Enkosi Tata. Can we take the last speaker, please? Thank you.
Ek is Owen Bergstedt, ek is van Rugby Senior Club, 20 km by die kant Stellenbosch. Dat beteken as mense wil gaan na 'n kliniek toe, beteken dit hy moet so plus minus R200 het voor hy by die kliniek kan uitkom. Om by die naaste punt te wees van die Hoofstraat om aan te sluit by 'n taxi beteken hy moet 5 km stap om by die naaste taxi uit te kom. Die punt wat ek wil regtig vanoggend te voorbring is die loan sharks. Ons ou mense gaan nou deesdae loan sharks toe. En my vraag is dat as ek die R2000 kry, beteken dit hoeveel rente moet ek aan afgee? En is dit die ou mense wat die geld vra nie, is die kinders wat die geld vra. So eers moet in die bil kom dat geen gelde word, daar moet niemand kan gelde gaan leen as 'n ouer persoon by 'n loan shark. Dan skakel die hele ding uit. Dan rondom transport het ons heeltemal 'n probleem. Al ons ou mense moet transport hê om by 'n punt uit te kom. En as ons kyk na die geld, beteken dit dat die geld is nie eens genoeg om uit te kom nie. As ons kyk na inflasie is amper 8%. En as ons kyk na die werklose mense wat nou R350 kry, beteken waar gee ons vir die mense wat nie wil werk, gee ons geld weg. Ons moet daai ding begin stop en daai R350 vir die ouer mense sit omdat ek wil hê julle as komitee moet regtig luister waarvan ek van praat. Dit gaan oor ons het die land opgebou. Ons. Hulle het nog niks gedoen nie, maar hulle kry geld. Ons praat nou van kinders wat kinders kry. Dit moet ook afgevat word. Want daar is iemand, daar's 2 mense wat 'n kind moet maak, nie een nie, 2 mense. As die een nie wil werk en die ander een gaan werk. Right? So ek wil graag hê dat die komitee moet die ding regtig vorentoe push want dit raak ons ou mense. Ons is seniors, maar ons is second class nou. Want die ou wat nie werk nie, hy kry ook nog geld. So ek wil graag hê ons moet kyk daarna en dan moet ons ook vir mekaar sê dat julle moet die ding voorstel, dis my voorstel. Elke jaar moet daar 10% byvoeging kom by ons pensioen, by ons SASSA-geld. 10%. Want ons kan nie by, as ons nou kyk, kom ek verduidelik hulle, 'n broodgeld was laas jaar R11. Ons is 17. Hy het al R6 opgegaan. 'n bottel visolie was R29, is R59. Aardappel was R32, is R90. Waar kry ons die geld? So al wat ek vra by die komitee is, as sekere goed wat ons moet regtig gaan na kyk, is rondom Wat sê ons rondom inflasie? En kom ons pas dit aan sodat ons mense 'n beter lewe kan kry. Ek dank u.
Dank u.
Good afternoon. I'm Owen Bergstead, and I'm coming from Stellenbosch. Let's talk about the following. You have to travel 20 kilometers outside of Stellenbosch. I come from a place outside of 20 kilometers outside of Stellenbosch. Now, the following is what I want to bring to the attention of the panel. To get to the nearest clinic, you must have at least 200 rand for traveling fee. Or if you want to take taxi, you have to walk at least 5 kilometers to the nearest taxi. Remember, we are elderlies. And then I want to address the issue of these, the loan sharks. Our elderlies have to resort to loan sharks, which means that they have to pay interest on the money that they have borrowed. My proposal is that this must totally be excluded. This thing must be abolished of loan sharks addressing all our senior citizens. The next thing also is I want to speak about the transport. We need to look at money. Where does the money of transport coming from? We do not have enough money since we're having this pension that we're having. Look at the inflation rate. The inflation is at 6 or 8% even, which means that it is unaffordable for us. The other thing I want to address and bring to draw the attention of our members of parliament is that this question of this matter of the unemployed getting 350, I propose that thing be scrapped, because the unemployed, they have done nothing yet they're getting money. We are here, we have built this country, yet they are not working and they are getting money. Stop giving money to them. Take this money, put it and add it to the elderly or to the senior citizens. Plus, we have built, yes, like I said, we built this country, but they are the ones receiving money. And the next matter is this one of children giving birth to children. And then they get the money. It must be stopped. They must not get money. Because what is happening right now is 2 people conceive, but they get money that we should be getting. And it must also be stopped. So these children giving birth and getting allowances, it must be stopped. We're looking at 10%, and what we are proposing from my proposal, Chair, is that we have a 10% annual increment in our pension grant. And this 10%, if I can make an example, we have had increases of bread, fish oil, and necessities, but the allowances have not been adjusted accordingly. So inflation is high, and our standard of living or our income is not accordingly. I thank you.
Molweni, ndingu Owen Bergstead, ndisuka eStellenbosch. Ndihlala kumgama ongapha kwe-20 kilometers ukuphuma eStellenbosch. Ukuze ndifikelele kwinkonzo zasekliniki kufuneka ndisebenzise imali engange-200 rand. Uba andizukhwela moto ndisebenzise itaxi funeka ndihambe umgama ongapha kwe-5 kilometers. Singabantu abadala singathi sihambe njani umgama ongaka. Kwakhona ke ndifuna ukuthetha ngabantu ababolekisa imali kuthiwa zii-loan sharks. Ezi mali sizibolekayo singabantu abadala zibuya zibe ne-interest. Futhi ke ndicela ukuba yonke lento yokubolekwa kwemali iphinde ibe nenzala yayo iyekiswe. Kwakhona ke ngale mali ye-transport bendithethe ngayo, kuthiwa masiyithathe phi kanye le mali velaphi, ngoba ukunyuka kwezinto ubomi esiphila kuko izinto ziyenyuka ngo-6% futhi uyokutshona kwe-8%. Asiyi-afford yonke lento thina. Ndifuna ukuthetha ke ngabantu abangaqeshwanga okanye unemployed abafumana imali engange 350. Thina singabantu abadala akho nto siyifumanayo. Abantu akho nto bayenzileyo bafumana le mali ingaka. Thina abantu badala silisebenzele ilizwe esiphila kulo. Ulutsha akho nto luyenzileyo kodwa lufumana imali. Ndiyacebisa ke ukuba kuthathwe le mali ifakwe kwimali yabantu abadala. Kwakhona ke ndifuna ukuthetha ngabantwana abazala abantwana bebancinci. Abo bantwana nabo banayo imali abayifumanayo, naleyo into ndingacebisa ukuba iphinde iyekiswe. Kwakhona ndifuna ukuphakamisa uba kube khona u10% kwimali efunyanwa ngabantu abadala. Umzekelo ukutya, isonka, ifish oil ziyenyuka, kodwa iallowance okanye imali esiyifumana indodla akukho ulungelelaniso lokuhambelana nemali esiyikhuphayo ukuze sizithengele ezi zinto. Enkosi.
Can we give all the submissions? Can we give all our members of the communities, everybody who has came forward to make a submission? Can we put our hands together for them? Just a round of applause.
Kan ons 'n applous gee vir al die persone wat aan hulle aanvoeringe gemaak het en bydrae gelewer het?
Cela siqhwabele wonke umuntu othe wanogalelo kwakhona into ayithethayo kunto besiyenza namhlanje.
We are moving now towards the end of our public hearing.
Ons beweeg nou na die einde van ons openbare verhoor.
Yeah, because
Siya ekupheleni ke kule ntlanganiso besithe sadibana ngayo apha namhlanje.
so we'll now ask, based on all the inputs that were made here, the Chief Director from Department of Social Development, Ms. Civil Lehodu, to come and just give the responses on, just to highlight maybe the key or maybe a highlight of the submissions, not on everything.
Ons gaan nou vra vir die hoofdirekteur wat teenwoordig is van openbare van maatskaplike dienste om net 'n oorsig te noem, net sleutelpunte. Nie alles nie, net so sleutelpunte met ons te deel.
Siyakucela ke u-Chief Director kwa Social Development Mam Civil asincede ngokuthi anike ingxelo ukuphendula kwezinto bezithe zathethwa aqaqambise ezo nezi zinto ezithe zabaluleka.
And then whilst we hand over to Ms. Civil, can we get some silence there at the back?
Kan ons net stilte kry? Ons het nog 'n parlementêre sitting.
Asseblief.
Ons moet asseblief stil wees, ontvang die kos in stilte.
Sisanikezela njalo ke kuMam Civil sawucela ukuba ke kuthi cwaka okanye sicela inzolo pha kubantu abasemva.
Before we give over to Ms. Civil Lehodu, the food will be distributed, please, in silence, and then she will then take us through about the responses.
So dis belangrik dat ons stil bly terwyl vrou Sibyl met ons hierdie proses deurgaan. Ontvang die kos, bly doodstil en vat net die kos en dan volg ons die proses wat aan die gang is.
Siyacela njalo nje sanikela kuMam Civil simnike imbeko ngokuthi njengoba kuhanjiswa ukutya nje kwenziwe yonke lonto ngokwenzolo kungabikho ngxolo nakuphazamisa.
Okay. Acting Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Social Development, Ntate de Kangstock, and all members, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development, I want to acknowledge you and thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity that you are granting to the department to respond on some of the pertinent issues that have been raised by our older persons this morning.
Qaphela ke nokubulisa amalungu ekomiti wonke kwakunye nosihlalo wonke umuntu olapha ndibulele nelithuba lokuba singu-social development sifumane ithuba lokuba siphendule kwingxelo ezithe zanikiswa apha.
Agbare voorsitter, agbare waarnemende voorsitter, ek erken u en baie dankie vir die wyse waarop u die verhoor behartig het gesamentlik met u die ander parlementêre komiteelede. Laat ons kan geluister het na die toevoegings of die aanvoerings wat gedoen was deur ons lede van ons senior burgers.
I want to take this opportunity also to acknowledge the various teams from both Parliament as well as the Department of Social Development at both national and provincial levels. I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge our older persons, all the structures of older persons that are also present here today. Thank you very much for having braved this weather to come and be with us. I really want to indicate that your input was greatly appreciated, and we have taken note of everything that you have said. As chairperson has requested, I'm only going to focus on some of the high-level issues that have been raised here this morning.
Ndicela ke ukuqaphela nawo wonke umuntu okhoyo osuke eParliament ndibabulele kakhulu ngokuba bekhona kule ndawo. Nabantu abakhoyo wonke umuntu olapha ndiyabulela nangegalelo nezinto enithe nazithetha ziyabulelwa kakhulu. Njengoba setshilo ke usihlalo ndiyakuthi qabaqaba kwizinto endibonayo uba ukuzibalekile uba ndithethe ngazo ndiphendule ngazo apha ngoku.
Soos gesê wil ek ook die parlementêre portefeulje komitee bedank vir die behartiging van hierdie sessie, as ook wil ons baie dankie sê aan ons senior burgers wat hierdie weer getrotseer het om uit te kom, om deelname te hê en hulle aanvoerings ook by te voeg en hulle stem te verhef en te sê dit is wat ons voorstelle is. So baie dankie vir u deelname. Wat ek nou gaan doen is, soos die voorsitter reeds genoem het, ek gaan net hier en daar gaan ek raak aan sekere aspekte wat belangrik is. Nie dat die ander nie belangrik is nie, maar net om het opsommendlik vir julle te gee.
I need to indicate that one of the biggest reasons why we paused and thought it would be prudent for us to amend the Principal Act number 13 of 2006 was specifically to address some of the gaps that you have shared with us this morning. And one of the issues I'm going to touch on is the issue of the roles that have got to be played by various government departments, which impacts on collaboration and integration as well as joint planning. But importantly so, the issue of resourcing and making sure that this legislation gets effectively implemented by all key players. And I want to assure you, having listened to the concerns around the fact that the Department of Social Development is here alone, that there are other processes that are happening behind the scenes. We have already started engaging with the various government departments to make sure that they understand the roles that have been outlined for them, which are attached to their core mandates as various departments, but also all other key stakeholders who take responsibility for the provision of a comprehensive basket of services to our older persons. So that process has already commenced. We have also costed this legislative framework to make sure that come implementation time, we are ready and we understand precisely what is it that we require to be able to specifically implement the specific sections of this particular legislative frameworks. So issues of collaboration have been well covered, and we take it that through the intersectoral structure that has been established, we will be able to pull ourselves together as key government departments as well as the key stakeholders and be able to work together towards the effective implementation of this legislation. But we also have one of the key government departments, which is called the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation. That department will take responsibility to ensure that they monitor our individual contributions as various government departments, so that each department and stakeholder is then able to fully execute their roles and responsibilities, but also have dedicated people who will make sure that the necessary processes ensue in each government department. And upon the sign-off of this legislation, we have also acknowledged as a team and noted the importance of the need for the training of everyone who has a role to play. And I'm going to make an example. Somebody raised the concern relating to the treatment within your substations. We already have a national instruction, number 1 of 2014, which subs needs to be implementing, where older persons needs to be prioritized when they enter all the substations. There must be dedicated space or rooms where older persons will be engaged with. And I'm going to link this to the issue of abuse of older persons, because it's also one of the things that has come up. But I want to conclude on the issue of the importance of collaboration with, within various government departments as well as our stakeholders. One of the forums that has been sanctioned to start operating is the district development model. That does not stop there. It needs to also go to ward levels, where the various government departments and various stakeholders need to start engaging on issues that impact on different communities and issues that also frustrate communities from functioning optimally. So those issues should go to these forums. So this is but one example of the efforts that we have put in place to make sure that we prepare for the effective implementation of this bill.
Soos die voorsitter genoem het, hierdie is net 'n opsomming. Wat gebeur as hierdie wetsontwerp ons probeer om hierdie wetsontwerp aan werking te stel as die vervanging van nie vervanging nie, maar om by te voeg by wet 13 of artikel 13 van 2006. By hierdie bedoelings dat die rolspelers wat betrokke is en selfs die rolspelers wat betrokke is en selfs die effektiewe dienslewering aan ons senior burgers, laat dit daardeur gedoen word. Die ander ene is dat daar is al reeds agtergrondwerk wat gedoen word, en dit is interdepartementele agtergrondwerk. En hierdie wil ons sê dat daar word nou gekyk oor hoe gaan die departemente mekaar aan die hand vat, sodat 'n persoon nie net na een departement toe gaan nie, maar as hy een toe gaan, laat die ander inligting of kennis dra van dit wat volgende rol gaan speel. En dit wil sê al die ander rolspelers word nou al reeds betrek, en laat ons kan sien hoe gaan ons 'n effektiewe manier hê van dienslewering aan ons kwesbare en senior burgers. As ook die een ding wat ek ook net wil aanraak, is dat vir die effektiewe monitering en evaluering is daar 'n platform wat ook geskep is, maar dit is 'n oorkoepelende platform wat dan kyk dat tussen hierdie rolspelers, laat die pap nie op die grond val nie, maar laat ons kan kom by 'n plek waar ons kan weet, as hierdie kwessie gelig word, die ander departement raak kennis, en selfs ook as ons senior burgers byvoorbeeld by, kom ons sê, by binnelandse sake instap, en daar is nog iemand anders wat ook moet rol speel, dan hoef die senior burger nie die hele plek vol te loop en agter die te loop, maar as 'n een-stop winkel tipe van werkswyse.
Ndiyaxolisa ndawushwankathela nje ezimbini ezintathu endizivileyo. Uthi ke kuzo zonke ezinto zibekwe apha, eyona nto benjengoba besekutshilo, eyona nto ibiphambili ibikuzokujongwa ukuvalwa kwemisansa ekhoyo mayela nebhili lena. Ngoko ke izinto enithe naziphakamisa ezibalulekileyo zawuthi zibekwe esweni. Umzekelo, i-monitoring and evaluation yenye yamasebe athi asebenzisane ukujonga izinto ezibekiweyo okanye izinto ezifakiweyo ngamasebe ukulungiselela ukudibanisela abantu nale bhili zizawuthi ziphunyezwe zenziwe. Nalento niphakamisileyo yamanye amasebe afana ne-Department of Health nezinye ezingekhoyo kule ndawo, zezinye zezinto ekukhona i-procedure okanye izinto ezenziwayo ukuqinisekisa uba ezo zinto zinjalo sizawuthi kukhawulelanwe nazo zenziwe. Enkosi.
Now, in terms of abuse, I touched on the National Instruction Number 1 of 2014 and indicated that the substations where our older persons need to report abuse must create a conducive environment for them to be free to report. We have also gone an extra mile in making sure that we revisit the definition of abuse under Section 30A of the amendment bill. This we did because we realized that there are emerging trends and the definition that we had was not covering all these issues and the gaps that we picked up also. So we have strengthened the definition to make sure that it supports all these developments under Section 30A. And we have also put up a section that encourages reporting. And we are also saying everyone has a responsibility to report the abuse of an older person. And should you know that there is an older person who's being abused, even if you suspect and you keep quiet and it gets to be discovered later, you are also liable, you know, for having perpetuated this kind of abuse towards an older person. So we're encouraging everybody to report, and this we cover under section 26. And we are also indicating that we need to also ensure that we encourage the very older persons who are abused not to drop the cases once they are reported. They will receive the necessary support once the reports get through the system. There will be intermediaries to support and assist them throughout their cases going through the justice system. They will be allowed to use their own languages, and they will also not testify in the presence of everyone. They will testify behind the scenes. So all these kinds of measures and support, we are making sure that we respond to a concern that was raised to say there are no results that have been seen relating to the cases of abuse for older persons. And we have also, in the very same legislative framework, we have also included a section that compels the minister to establish a register. And I need to indicate to you that the Minister of Social Development has established the register. Training is currently happening across provinces, and people are getting to be made aware of the importance of using this register. And that does not only impact on the department, it also includes the stakeholders and also the various government departments that have got a contribution to make in making sure that this register becomes a viable register for our older persons. We continue to engage with the Department of Justice to look at the best possible ways of making sure that this register does work for our older persons.
Ons het ook dan, wat ek net wil verder vat, is daar is, ons het hierdie wat genoem word die nasionale instruksie nummer 1 van 2014, is dit 2024, ja, van 2014. En hier volgens wil ons, het ons werk ons na prosesse om die behoorlijke definities van wat mishandeling eigenlijk rechtig is. En hierdie een wordt behandeld in artikel 16a van die wysigingswet. Dan het ons ook, ons het opgemerkt dat alles is niet gedekt, al die definities of die behoorlijke definitie van wat mishandeling is, was niet gedekt nie. En daarom het ons in die wysigingswetsontwerp het ons dit versterk, en hierdie is gedoen in artikel 13a. As ook, ons wil ook dat onze senior burgers wil ons aanmoedig, en elke persoon wil ons aanmoedig om nie stil te bly wanneer hulle mishandeling opmerk. Dit is die verantwoordelikheid van elke persoon om in gevalle waar hulle sien dat daar is mishandeling wat plaasvind, het sy by die huis of by 'n instansie, dat dit gerapporteer word. Andersins sal dit gesien word dat u deel is van hierdie mishandeling. Dan is daar ook gesprekke wat aan die gang is, en dit is uitvloeisels van die wetsontwerp, wat dan seker maak dat onze senior burgers wat dan voortgaan met hierdie sake, hier sal dan die geleentheid het om 'n tussenganger te hê. Dit is die persoon wat dan die vraag makkelijker stel aan die persoon wie mishandel was. U gaan die voorreg hê om in die eie taal gaan u dan praat, as ook gaan u die voorreg hê om agter 'n skerm te getuig, om te verseker dat u nie die mishandelaar of die oortreder in sy gesig in te kyk nie. Ook is daar die gesprekke wat ons aan die gang het oor die oortredersregister. In hierdie ene kyk ons daarna dat ons beamptes, laat hulle behoorlike opleiding kry oor hoe moet hulle hierdie sake dan vat, en hoe moet die uiteinde suksesvol daarvan suksesvol wees. Ons is in ernstige gesprekke met die departement van justisie om te kyk wat is die beste manier wat ons senior burgers kan beskerm teen mishandelaars.
Khona ke umthetho mayela nokuhlukumeza nokuphatheka kakubi nokuhlukumezeka kwabantu ka-2014. Lo mthetho ke ukhuthaza abantu abadala ukuba bayixele ukuabuse okanye ukuphathwa kakubi kwabo. Sijongile ke nenkcazelo yokuphathwa gadalala kwabantu usection 13A sizama ukuqinisa lo mthetho. Le section ikhuthaza ukuchazwa okanye ukuxelwa kokuphathwa gadalala kwabantu nokuba unesikrokrro uyakrokrela ukuba ukhona umuntu ophethwe kakubi yithi uyixele lonto uyibonayo ba ngenzeka. Siyaba encourage okanye siyabakhuthaza ke bonke abantu ukuba bachaze xa kukho umuntu ophethwe kakubi. Kwakhona ke sikhuthaza abantu abadala ukuba bangayidrop icase yokuphathwa kakubi. Sawuthi sibe nazo indlela zokubaxhasa, umzekelo bakusebenzisa ulwimi lwabo ukuchaza lonto eyenzekayo kubo, futhi abazukuthi banike ubungqina okanye bathethe phambi kwenginginya yabantu bakuthi bathethe bucala ukuchaza oko kwenzekayo kubo. Leyo ke into impendulo ehambalana nalento bekusithiwa ziyaripotwa ezi case kodwa akukho results.
Now, one of the most important things that were raised also here was the concern around making sure that we create the necessary awareness so that we conscientize everyone about the issues of aging and ageism and the attitudes and the manner in which we treat our older persons. It is disheartening to listen to older persons crying out loud, indicating their discomfort in their own homes and in their own communities and the environments that they have so much contributed to. So in this regard, we are saying the creation of awareness is one of the key things that we have noted that needs to also be prioritized, because if we're not going to do that, the crux of this legislative framework will not be realized, because it borders around the issues of making sure that we respect our older persons, we protect them, we uphold their rights and their dignity, but also that we ensure that they feel comfortable in the spaces within which they live. And unfortunately, as a country like many other countries, South Africa is facing a rising number of older persons. We are now having older persons who are living beyond the age of 100. We're having more centenarians. So our residential facilities are no longer going to be able to assist us. Our families and our communities must understand that the family needs to be a center that holds. And communities need to also support families so that our older persons can feel comfortable in their own homes and in their own communities. That is a reality that is confronting us. So the attitudes and the interpretations and understanding of aging, we know that in some areas in this country, older persons get killed because when you live longer, you are misinterpreted to be a witch. You know, and people start feeling uncomfortable about your existence. So all these things, it is not only the responsibility of one stakeholder, it is the collective responsibility of all of us to make sure that we orientate, we make people understand, we talk, and make sure that everybody understands. And we need to include our young people in that way, because they contribute a lot to the discomfort and unhappiness of our older persons these days.
Dan het ons ook die volgende punt wat ons na gekyk het. Ons het uitgevind hierdie moet 'n groot bewusmaking gebring word van oud-raak en die houdings oor oud-raak en dit wat lei tot mishandeling. Ons moet nie ons ouers sien as 'n bedreiging soos hulle ouer raak nie. Ons moet ons bejaardes moet ons waardeer, want hulle het so hard gewerk om die land te bring daar waar hy is. Dan wil ons ook noem dat hulle het voorheen baie hard gewerk vir hierdie. So ons moet 'n bewusmaking bring en dat ons belange het om te sien dat ons senior burgers respekteer, dat ons hulle kan versorg. Ons moet omgee vir hulle, ons moet omsien na hulle welstand. En ons moet seker maak dat hulle woon in 'n gemaklike omgewing wat paslik is vir hulle. Ongelukkig in Suid-Afrika, soos baie ander lande, staar ook in die oor hoë ouderdomme wat bereik word. So wat nou gebeur is dat die fasiliteite sal nie meer kan die druk hanteer, want daar's mense wat tot die ouderdom van 100 raak en meer. So wat ons nou moet doen is dat ons moet nou ons families moet ons leer, ons moet hulle fasiliteer, laat hulle kan weet hoe om te werk en saam met ons ouer van daar of ons bejaardes te lewe. En hierdie is dieselfde proses wat ons moet doen, is om ons gemeenskappe op te skerp, om hulle houdings reg te kry, om hierdie patroon van wat ons tans in die land het af te werp. Dan moet ons net noem dat almal is verantwoordelik. Almal is verantwoordelik om te sien dat ons ouer van daar of ons senior burgers goed gehanteer word en reg gehanteer word. En dit sluit in ons jong mense, want baie kere vind ons dat ons jong mense eintlik bydraend is tot die ongemak wat ons senior burgers tans verduur. En dit is hartseer.
Kwakhona ke enye into ebaluleke kakhulu kukuzisa ulwazi nokuzisa ukuqonda nokuqaphela kubantu ngokuhlala jikelele mayela nezinto ezibandakanya ukuguga kwakunye nokukhula ebantwini abadala. Kubuhlungu kwaye kubi kakhulu ukubona abantu abadala bekhala ngokuphandle bethetha ngendlela abaphethwe ngayo gadalala. Ngoko ke olulwazi nokuqonda nokuqaphela kudinga ukuba kube yenye yezinto eziphambili esiziphakamisayo, ukuhlonipha kwakunye nokukhusela amalungelo abantu abadala kwakunye nesidima sabo kubalekile. UMzantsi Afrika ujamelene nenani eliphezulu lwabantu abagugayo kanye abantu abadala. Ngoko ke indawo zokugcina abantu abadala azikwazi ukunceda zibagcine bonke aba bantu. Siyathetha ke sibongoza kwakunye neentsapho ukuba zithathe oluxanduva lokuxhasa abantu abadala kwakunye nabantu bokuhlala baxhase abantu abagugileyo. Ezi attitudes okanye indlela abajongwa ngayo abantu abadala nabaphethwe ngayo siyavamos abanye kuthiwa baye babulawe. Zonke ezi zinto zidinga ukuba sithathe uxanduva sisonke siliqela ngokupheleleyo ukuqonda kakuhle, futhi kudingeka ukuba sibandakanye abantu abatsha ngoba badlala indima enkulu ekuphatheni gadalala nokuhlalisa abantu abadala kabuhlungu.
Now, Chairperson, I'm going to touch on a concern that was raised relating to a very critical cohort of the assistance that older persons need to receive, which is our caregivers. I need to indicate that there is definitely a legal provision under Section 14 which speaks to caregivers, and we have already commenced as a department on the issue of making sure that our caregivers are trained. We have trained a number that does not really give us comfort at this stage. We would love to cover everyone that is in the space providing services to older persons, but it is difficult because that requires resources. So what the National Department did was to start with the training. We have also reached out to a number of provinces already, and what we have focused on specifically in terms of this training is the issue of abuse, Alzheimer's, and palliative care. The skills development programs that we are focusing on are currently those three. So we are also having a database of the providers that are assisting us in terms of making sure that we roll out this training. But because of the issue of resources, we have also encouraged provinces that they must also try and make resources available so that we can reach out to as many carers as it is possible. So that is where we are in terms of training, and we hope that we will be able to reach out to more carers in the future, because we acknowledge the role that they play in the provision of care to older persons. And like I indicated, we are not very happy in terms of the numbers that we have been able to reach. Now, there are two last issues, very, very short. The issue of limited resources to NGOs. I need to indicate, frankly, that we are all aware of the state of budgetary allocations in the country. The budget of government is not growing, and the reality is that is going to impact on all of us, including the very government departments and how they function. And that is why we are also taking the approach of making sure that we knock on the doors of all key stakeholders so that we can plan jointly and harness on the limited resources that we have. So that is the approach that we need to really start considering if we want to collectively make an impact. And then the last issue, Chairperson, I listened to one of our older persons indicating that they are not happy because this year we are not going to have Golden Games. And I need to say to you, we are also in the same boat with you. Again, the issue of resources, but what we have done is to encourage all provinces that they must keep up the momentum. The active aging program should not stop because the national activity is not happening. And we are still looking at alternative means and ways at which we can perhaps, reach out to our older persons. But as it is now, our heads of the Department of Social Development and the National Office have had an engagement, and we have agreed that provinces must continue at provincial level and make sure that the active aging program continues. Remember, it's a 365-day program. It should not wait for the national activity to be rolled out in October or November. So that is the expectation, and for that we would like to apologize. If there are any new developments, you will definitely be notified. I think, Chairperson, I will have to pause it there. Oh, the last issue. There are issues that came, that emanated from the manner in which older persons are treated in different spaces where they need services. And I want to indicate that issues of long queues, delayed provision of services at various points of service provision in the country, these are issues that are not peculiar to the Western Cape. We have also picked this up across other provinces, and we will definitely be looking into those when we do develop the regulations once the legislative framework has been signed off by Parliament. So I thought it's important that we look at that, and it will also include issues of load shedding for facilities for older persons so that we deal with all these issues collectively. The issues that were raised about SASSA, on late payments, delayed payments, I need to also indicate that I am fully aware that SASSA is busy looking into those issues. Chairperson, I thank you.
Dan het ons ook 'n belangrike punt wat gelig was is die kwessie van die versorgers en die opgeleide versorgers. Hierdie is gedek onder artikel 14 en ons werk daaraan om seker te maak dat hulle behoorlik opgelei is. Ons het mense wat opgelei is, maar die getalle is nog nie genoeg om vir ons daardie gemoedsrus te gee nie. Julle sal onthou dat ons sit met die hulpbronne kwessie en dit is een van die uitdagings waarom ons nie ooreenkomstig of genoeg mense kan oplei as versorgers nie. Dan het ons ook die kwessie van die mishandelaars. Ons moet sien dat hierdie opleiding gaan vir die versorgers om te kan identifiseer wat is hoe lyk die persoon wat mishandel word en persone wat aan Alzheimer's ly en so aan. En wat is dit? En selfs mense wat versorg word, mense wat ly aan die ernstige siektes. Dan het ons ook ons hand uitgestrek en hulp gevra dat die provinsies of provinsiaal, dat hulle hulpbronne ook sal beskikbaar stel en hand gee om seker te maak dat ons dan gesamentlik hierdie kwessies aanspreek. Ek glo en ons hoop dat dinge sal verander en selfs ons het uitgereik ook na die verskillende rolspelers om hulle hulpbronne ook beskikbaar te stel in terme van die opleiding en die programme, wat nog tans aan die gang is. Ons het een van die grootste uitdagings is die begroting van die regering. Dat groei nie ooreenkomstig nie en daarom sit ons 'n bietjie in 'n knyp oor daardie aspek. So ons klop by die ander deure, ander rolspelers om te kyk hoe kan hulle vir ons help om seker te maak dat die sukses van hierdie wetsontwerp is 'n realiteit. Ons is ook bewus oor ons bejaardes wat nie so gelukkig is oor, maar dan nie hierdie jaar is dit die Golden Gate byeenkomste is nie, maar ons vra om verskoning, hou net so rukkie vas, sodra dinge verbeter gaan ons daaraan werk. Ons het wel 'n beroep gedoen op al die provinsies om die momentum te bly hou met die programme waarmee hulle besig is, en ons kyk ook daarna om 'n verbetering aan te bring oor die programme wat heidaglik in ons provinsies aan die gang is. Ons sê dankie vir die steun van die provinsies oor die program van die Active Aging, en hierdie program is nie 'n eenmalige program wat een keer op 'n tydperk plaasvind nie, maar dis 'n deurlopende program wat dwars deur die jaar gaan. En dan wil ons praat oor die behandeling en die dienslewering van ons bejaardes. Hierdie kwessie van in lang lyne te gaan staan om dienslewering te kry. Ons kyk daarna om daardie ding goed aan te spreek in hierdie wetsontwerp, en ons wil seker maak dat selfs die ander kwessies soos die beurtkrag, oftewel die load shedding, dat daar voorsiening is vir fasiliteite of toerusting by hierdie tehuise waar ons bejaardes is. Sodra hierdie wetsontwerp dan afgeteken is, sal ons aan skouer aan die wiel sit met al hierdie kwessies wat voorgestel is.
Kwakhona ke kumba wabagcini nabakhathaleli babantu abadala ikhona i-legal provision ngokuka section 14. Silisebe ke thina sibongozela ukuba kube khona ukuqeqeshwa kwabantu, sithe satraina okanye saqeqesha abantu asifikelelanga kwinani ebesithanda uba singafikelela kulo. Kunzima ukugubungela wonke umuntu ngenxa yokuba oku kudinga ukuba sibe ne-resources esizisebenzisayo. I-skills development program kukhona ubhaliso olukhoyo kwi-database, kodwa ke asifikeleli kangangoko sifuna ukufikelela kuko. Sibongoza ukuba amaphondo kube khona izinto awenzayo, asebenzise i-resources abanazo ezikhona ezi-available ukuqeqesha abantu. Njengoba senditshilo asivuyiswa linani esinalo thina. I-NPO ne-NGOs kukhankanyiwe ukuba azikho ninzi ii-funds ezikhoyo, kodwa siyazama ukunkqonkqoza umnyango nomnyango ukuze sisebenzisane ngokudibeneyo. Kwakhona ke sihlalo ukhona umuntu ebeke wakhankanya ukuba akavuyanga ngokungabikho kwe-Golden Games kulona unyaka. Siyafana kunye nabo, yile nto besendithethe ngayo yokunqaba kwe-resources. Kodwa ke kukhona ukuthethathethwana okuqhubekayo, kukhona kwakunye namaphondo lawo, kukhona okulindelekileyo, sixolise kakhulu ke ebantwini. Okwangoku ke ndiyakuphela apho, kodwa ukhona umba ubuke wabalwa wokuphathwa gadalala kwabantu nokuma kwiqueue ixesha elide nokuba khona kwe-delays. Yinto engenzeki kuphela apha eKapa leyo, kodwa iyenzeka kumaphondo onke. Yinto esiyijongileyo lena, siyakulinda ide iparlamente ibukhona into eyisayinayo sikwazi ukusebenza ngcono kunye noku. Usiyaqonda kakuhle futhi ke ngendaba kaSASSA eyenzekayo nokuhambisa kwemali ebantwini, yinto nayo ke lena esijonge ukuyisombulula. Inkosi.
Thank you.
Inkosi.
Baie dankie aan onze hoe sê ons nou vir Chief Director in Afrikaans. Baie dankie. Ek dink die boodskap waarmee ons hier weggaan vandag is see us, hear us, don't fail us. Because we built this country. And we've heard you. I am just going to focus on the way forward, wat gebeur nou hierna. Maar voordat ek daarmee begin, daar is 'n meneer wat gesoek word. We're looking for Mr. Zitulele Masoka. If you're still here, if you can just go to the table. And in terms of the way forward, soos wat ek aan u gesê het, hierdie is deel van die demokratiese proses van wette maak. En julle het regtig soveel goeie insaag gegee vir die komitee. En ek moet ook sê, dit was daar 'n baie gedissiplineerde sitting van die huis vandag. En julle sit nog steeds. Maar wat nou hierna gebeur, is alles wat u hier gesê het, alles wat u in geskrewe voorleggings gedoen het, al die orale insaag wat u gelewer het, alles dit het hierdie span wat daar is, hulle dit opgeneem. Hierdie komitee kry al die verslae van die insaag wat al die provinsies gemaak het. En ons moet, as deel van die wetgewingsproses, moet ons hierdie insaag, wanneer ons delibereer, moet ons hierdie, ek maak 'n Afrikaanse woord op, dink ek, maar moet ons hierdie insaag, moet ons oorweeg, né? Dit is deel van ons konstitusionele verpligting. En dan, wanneer ons klaar is, dan word daar 'n verslag bymekaar gesit. Daardie verslag word dan voorgelê in die parlement, in die nasionale vergadering. Die nasionale vergadering debatteer rondom die verslag wat hierdie komitee aan hulle voorlê. Daardie verslag sal alles in hê, die deliberations of die gesprekke, ek het nou nie die lekker woord vir dit nie, wat hierdie komitee gaan hê met mekaar, gaan dan in daai verslag wees en dit word voorgelê in die parlement. Die parlement debatteer rondom dit en die wetgewing word voorgelê om dan gestem op te word deur die nasionale vergadering. Wanneer die wetgewing oorgestem word en dit is klaar, word dit gestuur na die volgende huis toe. Dit is die National Council of Provinces, die nasionale vergadering van provinsies, die hoërhuis. Hulle doen dan ook 'n proses waar hulle met die wetgewing werk in daai komitee. Hulle stem op die wetgewing en hulle stuur dit na die president vir die finale tekening en dit word dan wetgewing in Suid-Afrika. Is u met my? So hierdie is die hele proses en ons wil vir julle baie dankie sê. Ons wil iemand vra wat hier is om vir ons net af te sluit met gebed. Oom Japie vir ons kan afsluit met gebed.
Kom ons sluit in die woord en sê ons net dankie vir die Here. Onse Hemelse Vader, Here, baie dankie vir 'n geleentheid soos hierdie waar ons as senior burgers, groot mense, ou mense wat ons ook al genoem word, dat ons hier by mekaar kon kom met die mense wat van die politici van die parlement, sodat ons ook op hierdie vlak met hulle kon gesprek voer. Ons vertrou dat dit wat hulle hier verneem het en wat gedoen het, dat dit die goedkeuring wegdraai, Here, maar bovenal dat ons parlement en veral ons senior burgers, dat ons werklik met u in gesprek kom, Here, dat ons werklik tot u spreek, Here, want al praat ons ook hier en al delibereer ons hoe lank en al besluit ons ook wat, as u goedkeuring nie daarop is nie, Here, dan beteken dit absoluut niks. En daarom is die gebed van my hart, dat elkeen wat vandag in hierdie gebou is, dat ons werklik bemoeienis met u sal maak. U sê buitendien in die woord vir ons, as ons 60 jaar en ouer word, dan is dit net genade tyd. En ja, Here, dit is vir ons belangriker om daaraan vas te hou, want as u vir ons is, wie kan teen ons wees? Baie dankie vir die voorsitter van die vergadering, vir die persone wat geluister het, almal wat in hoë posisies is, en ons vertrou, Here, dat dit wat hulle gehoor het, soos wat die laaste spreker vir ons gesê het, dat hulle het gehoor en hulle gaan dit neem na daardie plekke, Ons vra net, Here, dat U in die groot genade ook daaraan aandag gee, dat dit nie, wanneer ons al onder die grond is, dan begin hulle eerste praat daaroor nie. Seën Here, en maak vir ons meer tevrede mense, Here. Maak vir ons meer mense wat dit wat ons nodig het na U toe bring, maar dat ons ook deur hierdie prosesse dat ons dinge kan bespoedig. Gebed van my hart is dat U vir ons sal seën en waar hierdie mense, die persone nog na 'n volgende provinsie toe moet gaan, is die gebed van ons hart dat nog daar baie gunstig ontvang sal word, maar nog meer dat ook daar in U naam die dinge sal bespreek. Seën ons, Here, en laat U naam altyd geheilig word, U naam ter eer. Amen.